Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Millburn Township. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, be advised that a notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board in Town Hall and forwarding to the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at Town Hall at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. Meeting details and the draft agenda were also posted on our township website. Please all stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Ms. Prupus?
Here.
Ms. Romano? Here. Deputy Mayor Vanaya?
Here.
Mayor Miggins?
Here.
Thank you.
There is an add-on resolution, Resolution 23-288, authorizing surviving spouse benefits to the family of Lieutenant Adam Norris. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as revised to include Resolution 23-288?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And I'd like to read it. Whereas the Township of Millburn wishes to provide surviving spouse benefits to the widow of Lieutenant Adam Norris of the Millburn Police Department. Whereas these benefits are a result of Lieutenant Norris having suffered a major medical episode that resulted in his passing at a time that he should have still been working his shift as a lieutenant in the Millburn Police Department. And whereas Lieutenant Norris not utilized sick time to go home when he felt ill, tightness in his chest while on duty, his family would have been afforded benefits through the Township of Millburn. And whereas Lieutenant Norris was an exemplary leader of the Millburn Police Department with 22 years of service at his passing, and his family was left without recourse to be provided health and prescription benefits as was planned upon his retirement. And whereas Lieutenant Norris's widow will be required to contribute to these benefits in accordance with PL 2010 Chapter 78 and the collective bargaining agreement of the Millburn PBA Local 34A. Whereas the Township Committee wishes to attempt to provide such benefits to Lieutenant Norris's widow and children until such time that the children age out or the widow reaches Medicare ability, and now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Millburn that the Township Committee of the Township of Millburn authorizes the business administrator to attempt to add Janine Norris and her two children to parent-child coverage under the state health benefit programs in NJ Direct 2030. This action will be with the assistance of the New Jersey State PBA, and that the addition of this coverage shall be approved and authorized by the New Jersey State Health Benefits Program. And be it further resolved that the actions of the Township Committee are at their sole discretion based on the evaluation of the facts presented to them and the business administrator by the Millburn Township PBA Local 34 and the Millburn Township Superior Officers Union PBA Local 34A. No action taken by this committee will set precedent for future consideration of other parties, nor that any other obligation beyond this attempt will be required. The Millburn Township PBA and SOA will be required to provide for a separate agreement with the Township of Millburn that this action sets no precedent prior to any discussions with the state PBA, the New Jersey State Health Benefits Program, or any other attempt at addition. So may I have, a motion? May I have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Vanaya?
First of all, Lieutenant Norris, thank you for your service, and vote is yes. Thank you.
Mayor Miggins?
You bet. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the December 5th, 2023 Township Committee minutes? So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I abstain. May I have a motion to approve the December 5th, 2023 Special Township Committee minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I abstain. Okay, great day today, as evidenced by this room. Chief Gilfetter, I am so excited to see you standing here today because that means that we've got people getting hired. And so may I have a motion to approve resolution 23-276?
So moved.
Okay, Chief Gilfetter, do you want to tell us about?
Do you need
our-
a second?
Oh, I
Do
need
you
a
need a
second.
second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, Chief Gilfetter?
I'd just like to start by thanking the mayor and township committee, Mr. McDonald, for allowing us to present 3 candidates for police officer tonight. First up is going to be Thomas Sweeney. He's 23 years old, resides in Clark with his family. Thomas is a graduate from Arthur Johnson High School in 2019. And for the past 2 years, he's worked at the Clark Township Department of Public Works. In 2020, Thomas joined the Clark Volunteer Fire Department, received all the training to become a volunteer firefighter. Currently holds the rank of lieutenant with the fire department, and he will be attending the Morris County Police Academy in January. After that, we have Tyler Barrett. He's 30 years old and resides in Lake Apacon with his family. He's a graduate from Jefferson High School in 2011 and attended the Morris County College and graduated with his associate's degree in criminal justice. He also graduated from the New Jersey State Basic Corrections Academy in January 22. And for the past 2 years, he has worked as a full-time corrections officer at Northern State Prison in Newark. He will be attending the Morris County Police Academy also in January. And the last is Gerald Strumolo, who's 22 years old and resides in Pompton Plains with his family. He graduated from Quantic Valley High School in 2019 and currently is a junior in his junior year at Ramapo College, pursuing a bachelor's degree in law and safety. This past year, he's been working as a security officer for Atlantic Health, and he's an avid student of martial arts. He is a 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo and also a lead instructor at Master Kim's Tiger Taekwondo. He's also following in his father's footsteps. Here tonight with him is Chief Strumlow from Harrison Police Department.
Welcome.
And he will also be attending Morris County Police Academy.
Want to administer the oath of office? I did it a little backwards. It's okay. It's my lesson.
Member
Right.
of family, want to get up? Hold it together. Yes, can I?
Yeah, member can meet your family?
Yep.
Together, and then you guys can put your raise your right hand, and then I'm gonna repeat after me.
Raise our right hand.
Yes.
Repeat after me, okay? I state your name,
I, Tyler Barrett,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
of the Milburn Township Police Department
of the Milburn Township Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I would never want to.
You guys are gonna be great. Congratulations.
That's it.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
What's yours?
That's at least you just put the date.
Just sign.
Yeah, we just have to sign.
While we're waiting here, these guys are signing their life away. I'd just like to thank the committee for passing the resolution for Lieutenant Morris. He was a great employee and a great friend for our police department. This is greatly going to help his family.
Our pleasure. Finish, Kristen?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sure you'd all love to stay for this meeting. However, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Right.
Here we
Still
go.
there, Jenny. You haven't been disqualified.
Okay, we ready? We're here. Are we ready? So nice to see such friendly faces. Okay,
Mayor, may I have the floor to invite Deputy Mayor Banayak to stand with me while I honor him along with our community?
you may? You may. Which chair? I didn't either, but we let her.
Didn't either? Oh, here we go, look.
I want to thank you for serving on the Township Committee. Thank you for being a strong supporter of our resident volunteers and a watchful eye on our finances. And thank you for being instrumental in getting the Flood Advisory Committee off and running. But most of all, I'm honored to call you my friend. I've gotten to know your family over the years, and I'm going to miss seeing you up here.
Thank you.
Every 2 weeks, but
Thank you.
hopefully still be able to see the family. So thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the TC here. Thank you to all the residents. A special thank you to my friend Deputy Mayor Richard Wasserman and Mayor Jackie Lieberberg. Because of two of them, I'm stuck here for 3 years. They were very instrumental to getting me in here. And thank you to Annette and the entire district leader who actually voted me to get on the ticket. And thanks to ultimately the residents of the town who voted me in. I did my best for 3 years. Whenever I was in doubt which way to go, all I thought was, will it be good for my next generation? And will it be good for our kids to grow up here? And I voted based on that. There are some tough decisions. I think this was probably my best, most valuable experience. Anybody who gets a chance, they should run for the office. They will get to know it's very, very difficult. It's impossible to please everyone. But you got to do what your gut says. You got to do what really you feel good about. There will always be perception of different things, and they're not wrong. They're just seeing it with different eyes. My sunglasses will not work on your eyes. So similarly, their sunglasses will not work on mine. I think it was a very humbling experience. And I would tell everyone out there to run. If you really want to make a difference, don't make a difference on social media. Be here, spend your 3 years, go volunteer for any boards and committees. And last but not the least, thank you to my family who actually put up with me for the last 3 years, my wife, my kids. And thanks to Melbourne resident. This township committee is great. And you have a good CEO running the township. Thank you, Alex.
I guess that's so.
We'll bring this to your house. Chair.
Right? Do I need to move the mic or?
You know, I have a pretty big voice,
If you'd like to.
but we can move the mic.
Maybe I'll sing. Do you want me to sing for you? I've got a song. I'll sing for you if you want. I have a good song.
Okay. It gives me great pleasure to recognize Mayor Maggie Miggins for her service to Milburn Township and the Township Committee. In her 3 years of service, 2 of which she served as mayor, she's been a tireless advocate for the town. A strong advocate for public safety, Maggie appears happiest at the TC meetings like this one when they include police department and fire department promotions and new employees. To combat the increase in car thefts occurring throughout several towns in the area, she helped establish neighborhood watch groups and also advocated for license plate readers that notify the police when suspected criminals enter the town. She's also worked with Senator Cody to legislate additional penalties for repeat perpetrators. Maggie has fought rising anti-Semitism by working with the Anti-Defamation League, While you all may be aware of the proclamation we read earlier in the year, more importantly, it resulted in police training to recognize and react to bias incidents. Maggie reinstituted the weekly mayor's message, which is a great way to notify residents of important issues and also to publicize local events. Maggie has worked with our state legislators to bring several $1 million of grants to the town. She has advocated for historic designation of various buildings in town because keeping our history available for future generations is important. While the most visible aspect of her role is the semi-monthly TC meetings, I can attest to the fact that Maggie has worked nonstop to improve Milburn Short Hills. I am happy to present this chair as a token of thanks for her service. Thank you, Mayor Miggins.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna sing for you, I am gonna sing for you, and I'm gonna sing because I think it's important today, especially in these times. I do, I really mean that, so. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And that's for you because we all need to work together. You didn't know I had it in me. We all need to work together. Sometimes when we're up here behind the curtain, y'all don't know what we're doing, but I promise you, we're working really hard for you. And I think to Sanji's point, difficult decisions are never met with gratitude. And sometimes we've had to make some pretty difficult decisions. And I will say, I think it's important. It's been an honor and a privilege to have served on the Township Committee. It really has. And to being the mayor. I really liked it. I like the role for some reason. I don't know. I'm glad that Michael talked about us bringing money back. We brought almost $2 million back to the paper mill. I see Mike Stotts in the audience. Folks, pass that paper mill. Get them the money. That's the State Theater of New Jersey. And we need to redo it. You know, things need a little fixing every now and then. So, you know, it's like facelift, Botox, we all need it. So they need it. I took a class in college that said, you know, everybody should be in their local government. And I'm like, all right, that's interesting. And so here we are. It is so much more difficult to be in a local government than it is to be in the state house, or, you know, because you have people blocking you, as it were, people answering for you. Being in the state government, being in local government, we see you every day, and it's a little difficult at times. So I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I would encourage everybody who has a yen for it, definitely run and get on a board. I think that's important. And also because I always don't like to talk about what I do for a living, even though some people in the audience used to bring it up. I will bring up the fact that I'm not going anywhere. I get to get back into my business, and which is selling real estate. And I will be, you know, blogging and having a YouTube channel live about what a fabulous town Milburn Short Hills is to live in. So look for that in the future for next year. And the last thing I want to talk about is the people that work in the town. We don't realize how hard the people are that work in the town, whether it's Christine Gaddy or Alex McDonald or our attorneys or the people that collect your taxes or work in the building department, our DPW, our fire department, our police department. They are so important to our community. And I always want to give them shout outs. I think it's really important. And if you see a police officer, if you see a fireman, thank them for the service. Most of them probably have served in the military anyway. but they really care about our community. I think it was evident today when you saw all the police that showed up for those three gentlemen that they really don't know, but are going to be joining their brotherhood. So we need to make sure we respect everybody that works in our for our town, because they feel just as close to our town as we all do. So that's all I have to say. I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and let's finish the meeting. Mike Stotts, I'm available. I know it. Okay. No, we are going to reports. Deputy Mayor Vinayak, any reports?
Just one last report on the flood mitigation. Because the team is here as well, and it's so good to sit on by their side to see them passionately working. We had great meeting last time, and it was last week. The thing is, after that, we had rainfall a couple days ago, and everybody on social media was talking about how the floodgates wasn't open, Taylor Pond wasn't dredged out or not dredged out, was not brought down. All those things sometimes is not misinformation, but incomplete information. So we as a flood mitigation team were talking about what floodgates are these guys talking about, because there is no floodgate. So what floodgate to open? We were even confused which one we did not open. Secondly, on the Taylor Pond, the water was taken out, but the amount of water that we got in filled up so quickly, it could be that it took 6 minutes, it would have taken 5 minutes, or it could be 6 hours versus 5 hours. But the Taylor Pond water was taken out before it filled up again. So I think the team is here. Team is listed on the website as well. They have meeting monthly, public meeting as well. It's better to take some time out and talk to the team and ask them. There were also comments made last time about walking the river, and we went back. The first thing we did when we made this flood mitigation team was we walked around the entire river, all the way from Melbourne, even before that, all the way to Turtleback, looked at every step of the way. So team, again, they invest in a lot of time, they put in a lot of their time as a volunteer again, and they're passionate, they're experienced, they're professional too, and all in different ways. So kudos to them, and this was my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeewoman Romano, any reports?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Senior citizens met last week. They recently took a trip to Peddler's Village and did some shopping. They also went to PNC Art Center to see an Elvis impersonator. Jamie reported that their weekly in-person and online canastra and mahjong is very popular. Friday Friends has been meeting at the library because of the Bauer renovations at the gym. Very popular project, Healthy Bones. She's up to 27 people in person and 14 on Zoom. Tai Chi and chair yoga continue at Jiro. And then we always like to talk about the Creative Hands ladies. They've been in existence for at least 20 years, as far back as I can remember. And what these women do is they meet and they make wheelchair and walker bags. And the fabric is donated from the Red Cross that used to be in town, now they're over in Fairfield. And the township has made them little labels that say, made with love by Creative Hands of Milburn Township. So those ladies are very proud of that. And just some numbers that I'd like to share from our our SID board meeting last week. The attendance for the winter villages was between 1,600 and 1,700 combined on both days. And that was only Saturday because Sunday was rained out on both weekends. They distributed and collected 234 surveys. 55 unique towns were represented. 55% of the attendees were from Milburn Short Hills. and 19.2% were first-time visitors to Milburn Short Hills. Their Instagram reached over 5,958 accounts, which is up 51% from the previous month. The total number of followers hit 3,000 during the Winter Villages. There were over 480 social media posts from SID businesses and other community organizations. And 2023 representation in all of the events from the business districts. For the different events, Restaurant Week, there were 3 districts represented. Girls' Night Out, 3 businesses. Girls' Night Out, 15. Fall into Milburn Short Hills, 4, and Winter Villages, 3. That's all my reports.
Thank you very much. Ms. Krupus, maybe Woman Krupus, anything for us?
I don't, I'm just really like, that was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well,
I didn't know that you, well, I knew probably you sang in church.
yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
Maybe that's the best.
I think I'm so moved because I think we don't talk about it enough, but we need to have more peace in this world. And we really, you know, I feel firm, you know, the Irish are either with me or against me, that we need to stand with Israel. And that's really what's on my mind a lot lately. So I've been thinking about that and thinking, how can we bring about peace? But we as a community did that. We got out right away after October 7th. We said then it was going to be, we were all aghast and appalled, and that we would, as the months progressed and more people were going to try and turn against it. And so that's very frustrating to me because I don't understand good versus evil. I just understand good versus evil. And so there's evil out there. And so I think about that. I hope we can have peace. But I will always say that Israel has a right to defend herself and her people. So that's where that comes from.
Just briefly, excuse me, the Library Board of Trustees met yesterday and we are closing out a record year at the Milburn Free Library in terms of circulation, visits, and programs. So, you know, certainly post-COVID and having to relocate and whatever else, things are back and better than ever. And we're just starting to look at plans, they're in the very early stages, to renovate the second floor. And there are a lot of different options, and the board is starting to look at that. But when that renovation occurs, the library will remain open during that whole time. That's one of the critical measures that, you know, that's of critical importance. But, you know, the first floor renovation was a big success, and now we'll be doing the second.
Awesome.
I have a question about the renovation. Like, are you guys talking about putting kind of making that meeting room more so that you can hold Zoom meetings and?
So I raised that as a matter of fact, and yes, that is on that, when the renovation happens, the technology will be replaced and we will be able to hold Zoom meetings.
That's awesome.
Mr. Mariziti, share.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have a short report with respect to the case management conference that was held yesterday by Judge Santamoro in connection with the obligation of the township, according to her court order, to adopt a redevelopment agreement for the 9 Main Street affordable housing project. The case management conference was called for by the judge on Friday afternoon. It was held yesterday at noon. Many of you in this room, I know, attended. But I wanted to report for the minutes that Mr. Cantor and myself appeared on behalf of the township. I was asked very robust questions, I guess I would say, by the judge about where things stood. Mr. Cantor explained that a motion has been filed to extend the time for the adoption of that agreement, and the motion is returnable. I believe it's January 5th. I'm not sure of that date. The judge indicated that she would hear that motion and kept an open mind, but she did go on to say that she wanted it understood that this project is going to be built, and that after hearing the motion, she didn't know what she would do, but she speculated that she might impose a fine of $500 a day on the township, or maybe $1,000 a day on the township to encourage compliance with that. So that will all be determined as a result of that motion that will be held in January. And that is the major outcome of that appearance before the court. I have no further.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McDonald?
Yes, Mayor, several reports. First and foremost, I would like to welcome Timothy Hoffman, who's the new Assistant Administrator for the Township. Tim comes to us. Tim comes to us from Seton Hall University, where he was actually employed and was also a professor at Seton Hall in the Public Administration and Political Science program. Previously, Tim was an intern in the city of Hoboken, as well as a elected official on the Hackensack Board of Education. And so Tim has some experience in this realm from both sides, and also brings a large academia and experience to Town Hall. I'm looking forward to mentoring Tim through local government and all things that are being a business administrator. I know he's very capable and has jumped right in already, and we're excited to have him, and certainly excited to have a helping hand. So welcome, Tim. Thank you. Just a couple quick updates to residents. A reminder that Zone 1 recycling will have a makeup day on December 30th. You're missing out on your recycling on both Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So that December 30th date, please keep that in mind. That is going to be your recycling day. Trash and recycling for Zone 6 is back to Saturday come the new year. All right, so no 3 times out. So just a reminder to all those residents in Zone 6 that were concerned about that, that is going to go back to Saturday. Flooding, I just want to piggyback on Deputy Mayor Benayek's sentiments. Yesterday, essentially Sunday night into Monday early morning, the township received almost 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time. I will say that we did experience flooding, in particular Taylor Park Pond onto Main Street, and which resulted in the closure of Main Street. We were close. We were very close to an event. I will say that a lot of this was roadway flooding, poor drainage flooding, and minor flooding, with the exception of Taylor Park Pond, which did go onto Main Street. But for some of those that were in and around the town, the wall behind the Footer Building and Goldberg's was about 12 inches away from overtopping. And the rain stopped around 9 a.m., which I think could not have been a more perfect time for the rain to stop. Fire Chief Echeverria, who is now the coordinator and director of the Township's OEM, and myself went around to South Mountain in particular, and visited with some of the residents that were particularly hard hit during Hurricane Ida, check up on them, and checked up on the rest of the town. Public Works, police, fire were all instrumental in making sure that we were responsive and reactive and proactive about the events that took place. There was a lot of discussion on social media. I saw most of it, and I just want to take this moment to reiterate that it is really important that in these times, especially when things can get rough and that things can be difficult, that our first reaction cannot be to cast blame or aspersions or question necessarily, are there areas that we can help? Are there things that we can do to be of assistance? I heard several times that the floodgates were not open. We have not had floodgates on that dam since 2014. It is now a weir dam. It has a bypass, a pipe next to the dam that allows us to drain Taylor Park Pond. That was done. That has actually been open since they've been doing the dredging work. The dredging work is complete. Yes, it is at a particular depth, and that depth is established by the Department of Environmental Protection. That is not our choice as to how big or deep that hole goes. In addition, there were some comments and complaints regarding leaf collection. All I'll say is that we have a schedule and that we put that out and we provide that to every resident. That schedule is there for a reason, to make sure that it is followed. Leaves should not be out in the street for more than 7 days. That's a stormwater regulation. And for this particular reason, that the Department of Public Works cannot go back and forth to different zones to pick up leaves that are out in the street because there might be a rainstorm coming. They're following a schedule, trying to keep up with a 4-day pickup, 3-day put out, 4-day put out, 3-day pickup, whatever it might be in a particular zone. And so if there were leaves in the street, I cannot say for certain, but I would say that there are examples of those leaves being put out in the street at a time that they weren't supposed to be. So I just want to help, provide some of this information. Also, I think that since the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee was established, this town has accepted, I think once and for all, that it does flood. We've put it out in the public, we've put it on the website, we've made sure that people are aware of it, we've committed a group to make sure that they're working toward it. And these are all very important things. And I just want to reiterate that it's important, the stuff that we put out there. And that we're not causing additional alarm or additional panic. We had an individual call our township's dispatch center 3 times on the same subject with incorrect information and berated the people that work there. I just had a board meeting yesterday, and I don't think that is helpful in these times, in these types of situations. That's all I'm gonna say about it. And certainly, again, there's a website, there's information on the website, there's ways to prepare. We put out a message on Sunday morning around 9:30 a.m. after getting our final weather report before the storm hit. And so that was sent to 9,000 individuals. Some of those are duplicate households or phones in a household, but it was sent out during from the township's Rave 911 or Milburn alert system. It was put on the website and it was put on social media. Moving on from that, town hall will be closed on Monday, or I'm sorry. Yes, Monday, thank you. Christmas. December 25th, it will also be closed on Monday, January 1st. There will be no trash pickup, as I indicated before, and there will be no recycling pickup. Just a quick update on the pedestrian activated signage. All the signage has been installed in 5 different locations. Those include Campbell, Milburn Avenue, Short Hill Circle, right across from the high school, Parsonage Hill and Long Hill. They've also been at Pine Terrace East and Short Hills Avenue and at Talbot Court and Old Short Hills Road. These signs are, again, pedestrian activated. So if you're looking to cross those streets, please push the indicator so that the lights flash and that cars can be made aware of your presence. Please make sure you wait until the car recognizes and stops. We've also installed several speed indicator signs throughout the township. I'd be hard pressed to give you every exact location, but I know that there are 2 on Hobart, and we've installed 5 in total. Glen is another one. Thank you,
Highland.
Ms. Ramona.
Highland.
Highland is not one.
No?
Nope.
Not yet. Yes.
So just wanted to, I think that is the, one more report on the Mountain Valley Emergency Communication Center. Yesterday, Ms. Romano and I were at the board meeting. And at that board meeting, the Mountain Valley passed the budget. It is a flat budget going into 2024. And Milburn and Summit will remain as partners in that dispatch center. Springfield will be potentially staying on for a short time as they transition to Union County. Those are my reports.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. And I think it's important to note, you had said, with flooding, I mean, I looked at all these other towns where there were cars that were totally submerged. And I think we really did dodge a bullet in this one. Was there not a 50-foot tree or something that was dislodged behind Butters or something? It came down?
There's a large tree with the root ball.
With the root ball still intact. So I think with all of this, and I'm sure as different people maybe get on flood mitigation, we'll see all the hard work that our flood mitigation committee has done. And I promise you, I'm on that with Deputy Mayor Vinayak. They work diligently. I think you'll see there's not there's not gonna be a magic cure, I guess. We're gonna do the best we possibly can every single time where flooding's concerned, but it's like whack-a-mole. You fix one thing and here comes the other one, and then you fix this and here comes something else, and things that you don't expect. So they're doing a really good job, and we've worked really well with Orange and Mayor Dwayne Warren, and we'll continue to do that. Trying to figure out a solution, so that we maybe someday don't have it, but I think everything worked the way it was supposed to, and I'm sorry that Main Street did get flooded. But I think everything worked the way it was supposed to. We just got so much rain.
The entire team was actually on site making videos,
Yeah.
clicking pictures, collecting into the one data room.
That's true.
That is how passionate these people are. They are
Volunteers.
there.
Yes.
And along with the fire department and the police, wherever they were, or DPW, sorry, they were doing their own work while other people were helping each other out. It's commendable. You guys are great. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So we are going to public comment. When invited to speak to offer your comments, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and whether you're a Milburn resident and or property or business owner. Please don't provide your full address. Our meetings are recorded and readily available to the public. For the convenience of our community, there is a remote option. If you called in and would like to comment, please press *6 now. And if you're attending by computer or electronic device, please click the raise hand button and be sure your video is on when you comment. All members of the public wishing to speak will be put into the queue to address the committee. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers shall limit their comments to 1 3-minute session. You will be prompted when there's 30 seconds remaining. A reminder that this is not time for dialogue or to debate a matter, and this is a time during our business meeting for the public to offer their comments. After the conclusion of public comment period, and if they wish to, professionals and committee members may respond to comments made by the public. Members of the public are welcome to contact the township or township committee at any time outside of our business meetings for requests for information or with any questions. A reminder, we are all neighbors and personal attacks will not be tolerated. I will now open the public comment period.
Is everyone, I don't know why I'm always this person.
Because you sit in front, Mr. Feld.
Again, my name is Jeffrey Feld. I live in the Poet section. First of all, to everyone in the community, a happy and a safe holiday season and a good new year. I have questions. I want to focus first on the agenda packet. It was great that the police we had 3 inductees, but can you tell us, is that a net positive 3 or are they replacing people that retired? Also, when they will come to online, I think they're going to start the academy in January, but when will they actually come online to serve us? And this is like a budgetary question. The resolution says they become employees as of tomorrow. Was money allocated in the budget for them for the 10 days? This might sound minutiae, but pennies in the cushions do matter about whether we follow the budget law. As to the bill list question of the delay of posting it, interesting. There's questions that monies are coming out of an escrow for the Woodland Silverman report project to the Mariziti firm. What is the status of that project? That got approved by the planning board, I think, a couple of years ago, but it doesn't seem like anything's happened. Hopefully next year, the new township committee will give us salary and wage information every 2 weeks as to how much money is going, because that's the major portion of our budget. There's something interesting on the agenda tonight, and that's the identification of township employees. But when you read the resolutions about police officers, and that's the first time I've noticed that type of resolution in the 3 years I've been here. Has that been required by our GIF insurer? Will the same law firm represent the police officers and the township, or will they each have separate counsel? Will there be a division between the township and the police officers? And who selects the counsel that's going to represent the police officers? Finally, there's a resolution regarding the parking deck. And this might sound like minutia, but I have problems tracking the source of funding. The parking deck, and it says phase 1, but last year we did, like, I think phase 1, about $20,000 to $30,000 to do a quick repair of the parking deck. It makes reference to an ordinance that was adopted in 2011. When you look at the annual debt statement for 2022, there's no reference to that that ordinance. So I'm trying to find out, and especially also when we heard the last minute meeting, that COVID funds was used to pay off that outstanding debt. So the real question I have is, really, where is the money coming to pay for the availability of funds for this project? If the ordinance has been satisfied, and can you by law amend a bond ordinance by resolution, because you're changing the appropriation? This might sound like minutia, but it isn't, because if you misappropriate monies that have been appropriated in a budget, that could become a criminal offense. And I'll speak later on other issues.
Thank you, Mr. Feld. Move the chairs. No one else wants to go.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor. First of all, thank you, Maggie and Sanji, for your service. I know what it's like up there, and it is a lot of hard work. So I'm Diane Thal-Eglow, lifelong township resident and former mayor. I am speaking about the paper mill tonight, which is a nonprofit, yet thankfully a very profitable organization. They do not pay taxes and are asking the town for $7.5 million towards their proposed massive renovation. This includes the 20 Brookside Drive purchase at $1.8 million, which the paper mill will now collect parking revenue. They're also requesting to amend their lease agreement for either a reduction in rent or a total release from paying any future rent to the township. Mr. Hobie, the producing artistic director, and Mr. Stotts, the executive director's salaries are publicly available online. Together, they are $700,000. I understand their desire to upgrade, renovate, and beautify the paper mill. However, $40 million is an enormous sum of money. It's got cut off. They haven't even gone out for their capital improvement drive, and they've already been able to raise over $20 million. Why this pressure on the township committee? The stage and seats were recently renovated, were 100% paid for from just 2 single families' private donations. So the theater will not be increasing in size and every show sells out. I believe our township's public buildings such as town hall, police, fire department, and DPW upgrades must come first, as well as the aging Bauer Center and Gero Park building. These buildings house our first responders and serve all our residents equally. No tickets needed. Our residents depend on and use these public services daily. We cannot run the town without them. Our own public employees are working in conditions the public would be shocked to see. The bathrooms in town hall are old and leaking and nowhere near as nice as the paper mill's current bathrooms. Town hall has plastic on the windows and frayed carpet. The basement in town hall has water issues. The police and fire departments could absolutely benefit from additional space and classrooms for our emergency first responders, as well as new HVAC. And all of the township's buildings desperately need upgraded technology. We know that this building absolutely does. As Mr. Stott said last night, it's not their fault, I'm paraphrasing, that the town has been deficient in upgrading our buildings. So why shouldn't he get his cut? Well, that may be true, but there are millions of dollars worth of must-do projects for the town. The unknown costs of the affordable housing project with its unknown legal fees. Will DPW be located and at what cost? An important and truly necessary flood mitigation for our residents and downtown businesses, all of which were devastated during severe storms. As you said, we were lucky on Monday and Taylor Park did flood. Please, one more minute. The paper mill's plan may be beautiful, but it's not emergent. It should not be rushed through with taxpayer dollars. As Committeeman-elect Stoller said last night, this must be an open and transparent process. This has just come before the public a few weeks ago to Township Committee meeting, and there seems to be pressure to approve this so quickly. Our town's gateway into Taylor Park on Milburn Avenue is not ADA compliant nor well-lit and safe. Yet the last TC and the public were against any upgrades there to cost about $1 million. Our downtown has seen no improvement since Complete Street 7 years ago. 2 more sentences. If the paper mill must do safety and flood mitigation, parse out these items. The town as a landowner should pay for that as soon as possible to prevent further deterioration. As for the lease obligation,
Ms.
I have two more
Segler.
sentences, Maggie, please, be kind. You're saying, let me be, they need to pare down their wish list to a realistic plan. Lastly, what you might find offensive, perhaps the paper mill should become a public, should perhaps be not owned by the town and become a profitable and independent entity as they were. They were safe ones. Sometimes you can't live off the laurels of your parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Egler. Good evening, Sarah Sherman, Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee, and I'm here with some members of our group. I want to thank Mayor Miggins and Deputy Mayor Vinayak for their service on the Township Committee and their contributions to the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee. Mr. Vinayak has been with our team since the group was formed, and Ms. Miggins joined us last year. Mr. Vinayak has always encouraged the committee to keep advancing its agenda to accomplish our short-term goals while working on the long-term objectives. Originally set to meet quarterly, our team met 4 times in the first month with a river field trip, followed by weekend meetings with residents, and we knew then we had a great deal of work ahead of us. Blue Acres, home elevation, drainage in South Mountain were on the table immediately. The Orange Reservoir bypass was a project rejected by the Army Corps of Engineers in 2018 because it relied on human forecasting. But our committee brought it back for re-examination. Mayor Miggins had much to do with moving the needle on the Orange Reservoir in meetings with Orange officials and getting a commitment for us to move ahead with the bathymetric survey. On a personal note, thanks to Maggie and Sanjeev for checking up on me and many other residents in my neighborhood during heavy rainfall. One morning I looked out the window and saw Maggie walking down the driveway to look at the ponding in my yard. Sanjeev has called to see if I am okay and if I needed to leave my house because of rainfall. Your concern is appreciated. I want to say a few words about yesterday's rainfall, adding to comments already made. Our team spent the day gathering information, visiting key locations in the neighborhoods prone to flooding, taking videos and photos, talking to residents, and updating Mr. McDonald with data to learn what worked yesterday, what didn't, what breached, what do we need to do, and why. We thank the DPW, the fire department, Mr. McDonald, the OEM team for their considerable efforts. It was a long day. Milburn floods, and that has been recorded for the last 125 years. Our team was tasked with finding solutions to control and mitigate flooding in the township and in the region, and that is what we have been doing. Maggie and Sanjeev, it was a pleasure to work with both of you on this effort. You can always come back to the committee as a volunteer, and I wish both of you all the best. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
Gina Truitt, Short Hills. I'm a property owner. Just want to say I think the mayor should sing from this time forward, at least at the December meeting every year. The reason I came tonight is to say a few words of thanks to Mayor Maggie Miggins.
Thank you.
I wanted to say I've always been impressed by your unflappable, calm, organized conduct on this committee. You were always prepared and committed, and I know your heart is in this.
Thank you.
I remember one time when I was on the Board of Ed years ago, I was chatting with someone on another board. I can't recall his name, but I can recall his words. He said, in this business, and he means by this business, public service, you make a lot more enemies than you do friends. He said the way that he coped was by having passion for what he did. And Maggie, I know you have passion for what you've been doing.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say that I personally thank you for your service. It showed in every meeting, every communication, and every conversation. I'm grateful to you for your 3 years of service, and I'm proud to call you my friend. I want to tell you on a personal note, I appreciate all you've done to support the Jewish members of your community and those of us who support Israel. I deeply appreciate that. And I hope you don't get bored with your free Tuesday meetings.
Yeah. Thank you.
You
can go online. see some. It's okay, we'll go back and forth. Yes. Did it work?
Am I audible?
Is Ms. Morgan unmuted?
Yes.
Ms.
Yeah.
Morgan, you are
Am I
unmuted.
audible?
You just need to put your screen with your face. Hold on one sec. Give us 2 seconds, please. There you go. We can see you now. Great.
I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Harris Morgan, and I reside at 49 Greenwood Drive in Millburn. And my comment deals with fair share housing. The court has said that there's nothing we can do to keep the 9 Main Street project from going forward, and that we only have until January 5th for the judge to decide whether we're going to be subject to a 500 or 1,000 per day sanction. My comment is that given that there's a lot of information and misinformation surrounding fair share housing, the Township Committee and the appropriate professionals should hold a hybrid or a virtual session to clarify our current situation before the January 5th hearing date. Even after listening to the fair share housing yesterday, our current situation, feasible options, and their legal and financial consequences really need to be fully understood by having an open forum for township residents. My concern is that the cost and liability of making a decision based on emotion, politics, or bravado could end up being an open taxpayer's checkbook. And the township should not embark on a lawsuit, nor put the township in jeopardy of being sued or saddled with an expensive daily penalty or endless expensive litigation without giving residents an opportunity to fully understand our situation and to participate in deciding on our course going forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
Can you guys hear me?
Good evening. We can hear you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anurag Kadyan, and I'm a resident of Millburn Township. First of all, I would like to wish all of you, all the town personnel and our neighbors and residents, happy holidays and happy new year. I also want to thank Mayor Miggins and Deputy Mayor Vinayak for their services to the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here today to speak to you about the historic district designation process. This was also discussed in the last meeting on December 5th. As Mr. Petto stated in that meeting, the designation process for Marywood, Nottingham, and the other districts has stopped. I believe I can speak on behalf of all of my neighbors that we are all very relieved. Democracy is alive, and our voices were heard. I want to take a moment here to thank Ms. Krupis and Ms. Romano, both of whom reached out to me personally and a few other residents to share in our concerns and show support for us in that time. I also want to thank incoming members, Mr. Solar and Mr. Sakamandi, for their full support of our cause to stop the nomination process at that time. Diving deeper into this HPC topic, one, I would like to check on what the status of the notification letters from the town is that state the nomination process has stopped. This is something Mr. Petto mentioned here on 12/5. I don't believe any of us have received them yet. Second, I want to encourage the committee to look very critically into the current HPC members' votes, comments in their minutes, and actions in this bungled nomination process that gave all of us residents so much angst and heartache for weeks, and where appropriate, not to renew any terms. Finally, I welcome the formation of the subcommittee to look into the HPC ordinance. You all discussed that in the last meeting. My only request is to have more than one resident on the subcommittee. The residents that we nominate should cover a cross-section of home types. For example, new construction homes, non-contributing homes, tutors, and historic homes. This will ensure a wide spectrum of interests and points of views that are represented from the residents in the subcommittee debates. Thank you, and happy holidays and happy new year again, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Finished?
With two more.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Do you have the name?
David Elephant.
Oh, there you are. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. David Elephant, Short Hills resident. You do have to forgive me. I'm about 9 hours ahead of you in time zone.
Oh,
All that I can say is the gentleman was most eloquent. And I'm here to reiterate what was just spoken regarding the historic designation process. It is my understanding, and I did see the video from the December 5th TC meeting, and I do know that it was recommended that that letter be prepared and sent to homeowners who were originally impacted, stating that the process has stalled. And it's my understanding that no one has yet to receive such a letter. I have not. And so my question is, who is preparing this letter to the homeowners? And when can the homeowners expect to receive these letters? And what is the target date? The second recommendation that was made at that December 5th meeting was the formation of new subcommittee to discuss the historic designation process and to, iron out the mishap that took place and to craft a better path forward. I concur. I think it's an excellent idea. I also believe that more than one member of the community should be present based upon the designations that were made. I think that would be appropriate. Again, who is selecting the subcommittees? And when will the subcommittee be formed? These are all reasonable questions that have yet to be answered. Thank you, and I appreciate your indulgence based upon the hour for me. So, good evening.
thank you. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Mr. Elephant.
That is all.
That is it on the, okay, terrific. Anyone else in the committee room that wishes to make public comment?
Excuse me.
We're gonna miss you, Mr. Carlin. I am gonna.
I don't
Not
think he's
there yet.
I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you.
Okay, let's go.
God bless.
Disaster recovery, great job by the fire department, police department, and I was watching at 222 as firemen going by my apartment building, and they did a great job. And it's very, very important to understand that it's disaster recovery. And if we close Main Street next year and there's a flood, some people may not be able to get to the hospital or to wherever they have to go. So just remember that, please, before you vote next year, about next year, as far as when you close Main Street during the summertime, if there's a flood and different places and a tree falls down and you can't get to the hospital, someone may not make it. Dr. Kotler, the gentleman over there who spoke, said how important it was for people to get to the hospital. I have been involved in disaster recovery, unfortunately, for many, many years. There might even be a separate committee concerning disaster recovery. By the way, Alex, you do a great job when it comes to that. And the coordination between the fire department and the police department is fantastic. I think they do a sensational job working together. I came here about 3 years ago concerning problems as far as code enforcement. I still believe there should be more oversight as far as code enforcement. If there's a violation, serious violations, it should be adhered to and people should take a look at it. And if a property owner or a landlord is in violation, they should be taken to task, if need be, even taken to court. As far as being a landlord, I heard what former mayor said about the paper mill. At this particular moment, Milburn is the landlord. Milburn is responsible. Someone falls, the building collapses or whatever, Milburn is responsible. Until that time, Milburn has to take action. Like it or not, that's my own personal opinion. I'm not that bright, but that's my feeling. Have a great day. Oh, by the way, and as I said before, the last hurrah for 2 members.
Thank you, sir.
Christine Best, Melbourne Township resident. I want to wish everybody happy holiday, and I want to thank everyone here. I'm a grumpy lady, and I really do love you all as people. And I actually had the pleasure of seeing Maggie at the bagel store and articulating that, because you do work very hard, and I can't even imagine all the stuff you have to deal with. I might not agree, but I will miss our dialogue, Maggie. And I have to say, I was touched by you singing.
Oh, thank you.
I kept my tears back, and it shows what a good person you are. So
Thank you.
you're very talented. And Sanjeev, I will miss you. I think you're a very astute business person, and you brought a lot to this committee. So I'm sure I would love to see you in a startup at some point. So anyhow, I just wanted to talk about just a couple of things for me that were disappointing this year that I'm hoping maybe next year. I think there's a lot of people here that, have different viewpoints. I'm all about inclusivity of different viewpoints. And some of the things that were hard for me to watch this year were the vilification of the Republican candidates through some of the hate signs. That was very, very sad to me, to use those type of tactics. Retaliation issues that I've seen on 2 residents that bring up complaints. That is very, very, very much saddens me, and I hope I don't see that next year. Avoidance of dealing with people's complaints or actually addressing them directly. I don't know why that is. Maybe if I was on the committee, I would understand it. And going back to inclusivity, Democrats are all about inclusivity. And right now this is an all Democratic board. And, I really believe in inclusivity, and I've actually tried to apply many times for different committees that I'm passionate about and never been able to get on. And I'm just publicly declaring, because it just goes into a black hole. And no one even asked for my resume or what my experience or skill set is. So I'm interested in the planning board, the zoning board, and the environmental committee. And if you do establish a retail committee, which I think you actually really, really need for the downtown, I would be very interested in doing that. That is my background. And I would like to just flip over just quickly to talk about the SID. I don't know a lot about it, but what I have seen is I have seen Mr. Grillo's presentations, and I do support the merchants greatly. And I also support a lot more money going to the downtown, actually from Milburn residents, not just for them to be accountable for it. I don't think that I think we need to have somebody who's leading the SID, and I might be incorrectly saying that has a retail background. I think they have to be a merchant. They have to have been a chief merchandising officer or run a store. I think having somebody with a planning background or an urban planning background is really not appropriate, because they don't understand what retail is all about. It's a very complex business, actually. So I don't have time to talk about all the issues. I wish that the streets were clean. I wish that people didn't cut down my tree roots in my neighborhood and that people don't help me when I go out to the township board. I wish that Amazon drivers didn't show up from 4 to 8 a.m. on Sundays. That's a new thing that I'd like to work on with you guys because I don't know why people have to have their stuff at 4 a.m. on Sunday, but they do. And, you know, and I really hope that we can really come together and not discriminate against people with different political ideologies. Not everybody is crafted and people have a lot of different viewpoints. And I'm really looking for more transparency on the housing and also committee to actually follow up on the taste level of the housing and development that we approve. I think it's really important. And there's a lot of other stuff, but again, thank you so much. I
Thank you,
really
Ms.
appreciate
Best.
everybody's time.
Thank you, Ms.
And have a
Best.
great holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Hi, my name's Julie Weiner. I'm a resident in Short Hills and I'm also a business owner. I don't come up here very often, especially without notes, but I wanted to thank Maggie and Sanji for your service that I've run into both of you from time to time, and I know how hard it is to do what you all do, and I thank everybody here for being here. So I really wanted to just talk a little bit about how excited I've been in town. I've been here for 13 years as a business owner, and I've really seen a huge difference over the past couple of years with all the different activities that are going on. Of course, lately, the winter village that Annette spoke about was so exciting. And that's kind of what brought me here, was to just tell you what an awesome experience it was, how important it is to be bringing all these people to town as we are, because it really does help with our businesses. I did have 1 or 2 people already come in and say that they came into Splurge because of being at the Winter Village and seeing us. We sponsored the big s'mores, and we hope to do that again. And with all the different activities that Steve has been doing and Amanda has been doing, I wanted to publicly just thank them both for all of their hard work, because it really has made a difference in making a much more vibrant town. I wouldn't necessarily want someone with retail experience because they don't have restaurant experience or bakery experience. And so if you start to go down that line, I don't think that's the best way to approach. I think these guys that we have here are doing an amazing job. Just a really quick story. I have been here 13 years. When I first moved in, nobody came out to say, welcome, you know, we're happy you're here. The first time I heard from anyone was when I put my sign up and someone from Township Committee said that I had violated a sign ordinance. And that was my welcome to the neighborhood. And then 10 months later, I got flooded out completely from Irene. And and nobody was there to help me on that either. We got completely flooded in our basement. So things are much different now. The vibe is so much better. And so I just wanted to speak up and let you know that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, Jean Pasternak, resident. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and thank all of you who volunteer to serve our community. To Mr. McDonald's and Mr. Viniak's comments about the flooding, I just have a couple things. The leaves on my street were collected the day after the bulk of the rain fell. So I'm not sure if that's okay or whatever. I know you mentioned it, but I think they should have been collected by then. The person who you didn't name, but I think you're referring to, is not present here this evening to defend himself against some of the remarks, but I know for a fact that he's been trying to offer his feedback to the town as a 30-year resident and a 50-year experienced engineering company owner to the town for more than a decade. And he said he never received as much as a phone call back. Fortunately, he has not given up and he's comfortable giving his ideas still, especially to the newly elected township committee members. So I'd just like to say, rather than be offended at his suggestions, in the spirit of what our voters just conveyed to all of you in November, why don't you invite him to the table? I believe every resident deeply appreciates the efforts of our town employees, especially during a crisis like a storm. So thank you to all for your dedicated work. Regarding the fair share housing case, hearing that took place last week. I agree with Stephanie, I think her name was. I think a more robust update should be made to our residents by our attorneys representing the township in this matter. Could our attorneys address why are taxpayers responsible, for example, to pay a $19,000 sanction that has already been made by Judge Santamaro? What makes us responsible? We had no say in the agreement, and yet we are now paying for a sanction? As far as the SID, my comment there is the history of the entity does need to be kept in mind as you vote on the budget. There is a pending lawsuit contending that it was set up incorrectly. The preponderance of activity is focused downtown in spite of the expansion of assessments to all 5 districts. The board is appointed by this township and is not elected by those who are taxed. So it is arguably taxation without representation. Appropriate steps were not taken for the closure of Main Street. There have been no metrics shared with the public on actual impact on the bottom line of the SID for the town overall. In fact, Mr. Grillo dodged my question at the last SID meeting and was unable to state definitively what the bottom line contribution of the SID is in numeric terms on the town, with the exception of the vacancy rate. The SID no doubt contributes, as we just heard, very significantly, but if we are using taxpayer funds to support it, it must follow all the municipal laws and we should have full transparency. As far as the indemnification resolutions or ordinances, do other towns have these ordinances? Why are they being introduced now and when will they be effective? And my last comment or question to each one of you is, for each one of you as you are thinking about and taking action in preparation for forming the government for next year, what do each of you believe the voters of Millburn said with an election with 65% of the vote going to Ben and Frank? What are you planning to do individually to carry out the overwhelming mandate of the voters of Millburn Short Hills? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pasternak.
Good evening. I'm Mike Stotts. I'm the Executive Director of Paper Mill Playhouse. Not on the agenda this evening, but I wanted to say a few things. And first of all, thank you, Mayor Miggins, for your support, for your leadership,
Thank you.
for helping us to get our project off the ground and securing some state funds for it. We truly appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And now that this obligation will be winding up, we'll make sure that you get cast in a role of paper now. Now that you've had your audition. Deputy Mayor Vinayak, I really want to thank you as well for your leadership and your service. Some of your words tonight really resonated with me, and the decision-making process that you go through to ensure that the next generations are well thought of when making your decisions. And this paper mill project is about securing Paper Mill Playhouse for future generations. The company has been here for 85 years. It's been here longer than probably anyone in this room. And it's our obligation, I feel, mine as the executive director, all of us, all of you, to ensure that this tremendous community asset remains in good shape for future generations. And speaking of that, the middle school, the entire middle school will be attending Fiddler on the Roof on January 3rd.
Nice.
1,100 students. The PTO came to us asking if they could use Fiddler on the Roof as a teaching tool to talk about anti-Semitism and some of the issues that have been going on in this community. And we've added a 9th performance to be able to do that. And that's another really important role that Paper Mill, I think, plays, not only in this community, but in the community of all of our lives. That theater can help us to teach really valuable lessons. And then finally, we did have some flooding at the theater the other day. Some new holes in the roof, flooding in the orchestra pit. There are a lot of issues with the site, as have been previously mentioned, and they do need to be addressed. This project is largely about addressing those issues, but also making the theater a much better place for future generations. It would be inaccurate to say that every performance sells out. It does not. We're still recovering from the pandemic. Our subscribership is down 30%. And we are not playing to 100% of capacity. We have a 3-year plan to get back to break even, but the generosity of our board and the community keeps us going. The support of this township keeps us going. And I'm grateful to all of you who serve on this township committee and those coming in for your valuable support of this great community asset. Thank you very much and have a great holiday.
Thank you so much.
Well, good evening, everybody, and
Good evening,
again,
Ms. Feld.
thank people for their service who are outgoing, and I hope you do get some extra rest as a result. So I did attend the meeting last night. I thought it was poorly attended at the paper mill, and I assumed it was poorly attended because a lot of people had no idea that it was happening. Not my friends, not one of them got an email or a notification. So I have to work on that and figure out why their names aren't on the mailing list when they've lived in town for 30 years. But I think that the paper mill is a worthy cause, and I enjoyed the presentation. However, right now I want to combine the $7.5 million paper mill ask to the township. I'm not going to argue about the 40 million. That's the decision between them and their architects. But the $7.5 million ask, I want to combine it with the 9 Main Street project because they have like one really big thing in common. It's all about the ease with which town boards, as well as church, synagogue, and even country club boards, if you've ever sat on any of those, you will understand how easy it is for a township or any other board to spend other people's money if they think it's the right thing to do. Now, and apparently that includes state judges who do not have all the facts regarding the financial impact of new housing development on a township and just want to spend our money. Along with the monies needed to upgrade most Millburn public buildings, there is an unknown number well into the millions that taxpayers will need to pay for the 9 Main Street project. When do we learn what that will be? It seems that the $500 a day fine threat will be a drop in the bucket compared to with how much that development is going to cost this town at the end of the day. As to the paper mill, it definitely needs a facelift. I'm not arguing with that at all. The question is, do we pay the amount asked without any negotiation? Or do we engage in some negotiation? Or does the township think we have so much money that we can plow it into the projects they're shouting the loudest? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Feld. Oh, we have 2 more online. Hold on. We go to videotape. How'd you say that? Oh.
Good evening.
Can't see you, Ms. Urso.
I don't know why. Hold on.
You're blurry. You're halfway, there you go. Oh, hello, Ms. Urso.
Hi, how are you?
There you are.
Good evening, everybody, and happy holidays to all of you. We're also going to be afforded an additional time to talk about the SID budget. Is that correct?
Correct. When there's open public comment on that. Yep.
All right, wonderful. So I'm just going to take it just a few minutes. Maggie, I want to thank you for your service. I know it's good days and bad days, and we agree to disagree, but I do want to thank you for taking the time and serving this community. And Mr. Vinayak, for the same. Thank you again for your service. Everyone have a wonderful holiday. See you soon.
Okay. Thank you. One more.
Did someone notice that this notice up there?
Okay, so Curious Kids. There we go. Hi. Wait, you're muted. Hold on, you're muted, darling. Thank you.
Hi, sorry. I was gonna talk about Sid. Should I wait?
You,
I don't have a ton to say or anything like that. I just
about, well, if you want to talk about Sid when we're talking about Sid, you could do that because I'm sure that the Sid people would want you to talk about Sid when you're talking about Sid.
Okay, so I'll wait then. No worries.
You'll come back. All right, don't be sorry. Thank you,
Okay.
so.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I close the public comment period, is there anyone else left in the room who'd like to make a public comment? Mr. Stoller.
Okay, I, I wasn't gonna make a public comment. Ben Stoller, Milburn Township incoming elect. Maggie, Sanjeev, thank you for your service. Thankless job. Appreciate everything you guys have done. Great soliloquy tonight. Part of the, when we ran, Frank and I, it was on transparency, accountability, good governance. It was about good decision-making. What I'm seeing here tonight is some conflating of good decision-making. Openness, transparency, taking all the information qualitatively, quantitatively, and making the correct decision for the community. It's not comparing one thing versus another, especially without all the information. We talk about fair share housing. Ms. Morgan wants an open forum. We should have had that open forum a long time ago. But if we're going to have that open forum, we need to understand that the township's on the hook for possibly $49 million. And that's just to build it. That includes $10 million of remediation. There's possibly 100 to 200 kids coming from that building, $25,000 a kid. That's another $25 million over 10 years. There's all types of costs for policing, fire, infrastructure, et cetera. So there's a very big number that needs to be addressed. And it's a pilot program. There's no taxes coming into the school system from that. Then we talk about the Paper Mill Playhouse, talking about $7.5 million request. They own a piece of property for $1.4 million. There's a bond or a reserve for $1.2 million. So net $5 million. They're looking for a $40 million investment on a piece of property that we already own. Very difficult to compare those two subjects. So what I'm saying is, as a community going forward, we need to take the decisions, give all the information to the public, let the public understand the ins and outs and make good decisions. It's incumbent upon the Township Committee and the public to make those decisions together to lead the town forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stoller.
Hi, my name is Brian Nelson. I've never spoken before, but I want to say thanks. I just want to say happy holidays to everyone. Thank you, Maggie, for being an amazing mayor and doing everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you to you as well. You know, everything that you do, we really appreciate, and especially with like the watch and things of that nature.
Poets Watch.
Poets Watch and everything. You know, it's been really, really helpful. And we really, really appreciate it. So thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. We good? Uh-huh. Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I like to get the last word.
Yes, you do. Good evening, Miss Stone.
Maggie, thank you.
Mrs. Stone.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Maggie, thank you for your service. Thank you for all the support that you gave to Ben and Frank during their transition. It's been very helpful. I only have, I know that the SID budget is gonna pass, so it's really stupid that we're even all here to talk. So everybody save your breath because they already made their decisions. With that said, I have two things to say. You have the opportunity as elected officials to do the right thing. You never go wrong doing the right thing. It has been a fundamental mission of mine personally in everything that I do, that you never go wrong doing the right thing. And you were elected to do the right thing. And Ben and Frank were elected to do the right thing because people were not happy as they were with Ted and Ian with what they did. So now people have spoken. You're getting fired, apparently, so I wish you good luck. So the bottom line is that I hope that everybody does the right thing. And you have the opportunity to be, to do the right thing, Michael. You were elected for the town. You are not elected to the party. You are not elected to anybody. You said in your, that you serve the people of Milburn. You were well vetted. You have a really good reputation. And I hope that you make the right choice for yourself and the community and the people of Millburn. I wish you good luck. You've served the town well. We'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stone. I will now close the public comment period. Would Mr. Cohen, would you like to speak to anything that was discussed this evening?
I'm actually, I would rather have Ms. O'Donnell speak to,
Anything and everything?
well, to the historical letters, go ahead, the letters.
Yeah, all that helped Mr. McDonald to get to that. Mr. Mariziti, do you want to speak to anything about what was spoken about tonight?
Just two quick things. There was a question about the Silverman Developers Agreement.
Yes.
It's not a redevelopers agreement, it's a developers agreement. And that document is awaiting the final submission by Mr. Silverman's counsel. We have been.
Speak up a little bit.
My partner, Brad Carney is working on that matter, and he has been telling me that he's been pressing counsel for Silverman to finalize the document and submit it so that it can be considered by the Township Committee. The other question was about indemnification of public officials and other staffers. And I can't speak about all municipalities, but I think every client I've ever had, and I represent primarily public bodies, have an indemnification ordinance, policy, or resolution. It's not an unusual thing. That's all I have, and I just want to say that if this is my last meeting, maybe it is. I have very much enjoyed working with this township committee and all of you and mayor and committeemen. I wish you well, and I wish the remaining members of the council the same, and the newly elected members as well. I've enjoyed meeting everyone in this room and others who are not here, and I will miss you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I don't sing.
No, you don't say. And I think just to go back to the Silverman property, it was approved by the planning board, if memory serves, correct me if I'm wrong, that after 2 years, they have to go back in front of the planning board because they didn't start their project. And apparently where they wanted to put their transformers, they had not cleared it yet with JCP&L, who said, no, you can't put your transformers there. So that might be something we look at, that for planning purposes or ordinance purposes, that before the planning board accepts that everything is checked off properly.
And I'll just echo, I believe that they are scheduled to come back to the planning board at either the second meeting in January or the first meeting in February.
Right.
And that will open that discussion.
And that will open that discussion. Terrific. Deputy Mayor, do you have anything for us? I guess I should have taken a break. I'm sorry.
Yes, Mayor. So there was a question asked by Mr. Feld, how many total police officers are there?
Microphones.
There was a question asked by Mr. Feld, how many total police officers are there? It's 59 now total. 60 had been approved. 59 will be, including these police officers. I think it's way too many police officers for the small town, but it is what we have approved. So they are net 59, and that's the question I also asked. I got the answer, and that's what I'm giving you all. As far as Mr. Al Carlin, he came in here and talked about how everyone should be, whether that's a landlord or township committees or township is a landlord for that. I encourage you to read the contract that township has with Paper Mill Playhouse. They got the sweetener or the sweetest of the contract because they are supposed to take care of the maintenance projects across the building, including the structural part of Paper Mill Playhouse. All this is in the contract, and when I read it, it was like, okay, why are we even talking to the township committee about this? So, but as gentleman has mentioned, talked about, we should talk about the future, next generation, yes. But there's always a pool. I said it in the last meeting as well. You're using the same pool of money that is coming in. And I said that Paper Mill Playhouse is asking for $7.5 million. They're getting from the state 2 million. I don't know why township 7.5. There's a $5 million flood mitigation project pending if we have everything going on in the right direction that was stalled by the feds. We are trying to put that in momentum, and that $1.2 million that is accrued for the paper mill playhouse, whatever rent we got from them was going in a bucket. 2 years ago, we actually dismantled that bucket. We started using that money towards our general budget. And our hope was to use that money towards the flood mitigation project. At that time, Mr. Wasserman and I was on the finance committee, and that's where we were trying to see where we can allocate what we can allocate. That money was coming in as a rent to the township. So where we use it is our thing, is not to maintain that building. The maintenance of the building, as I said, is in the contract for them to maintain, not for us, including, again, structural. Then we talk about next generation. We don't have turf fields. A little while back, we were talking about $10 million project to make the entire golf course into turf for our kids to play. Then we spoke to the Board of Ed. They wanted to put turf fields behind their high school, but they wanted help from us because they don't have money to invest on the turf field. So we were looking at what would be the cost, and we could probably do a joint project there because it's going for our own kids. And if that project is about $5 to $10 million, and if half and half is taken care, again, I'm saying if, we're spending about $5 million there as a township money. And I feel better. Again, everybody has a different perspective. I feel our kids need more turf field to play on than actually, again, paper mill playhouse, I'm not saying it is not a good thing. They are great. But on the priority scale is, again, different lenses. My lens says I would rather spend money in the kids' turf field. Then we have TC building maintenance. This whole building needs to be maintained. I haven't even looked at the cost because lucky for me, I'm not going to be voting for it. Ben and Frank would be, including the 3 other TC members. So I don't want to have a biased opinion there. So I chose not to look at that so they can make their call without taking my biased opinion. And I said that last as well. Ben Stoller mentioned about $59 or $50 million project of the building. Well, we have discussed this several times in our TC meetings. Township is on the hook for about $3 to $5 million, but with the way that we have talked about taking that sand out, it was going to be $5 to $7 million on the hook. And yes, the total project is about 50, but there are different pools of money that would be coming in on that project. So again, I'm saying, even if township is on the hook for $5 to $7 million, that is the same pool the money's coming from. Then we have $2 million, $2.2 million that we spend on the building that we are buying. We have $1 million increase in the garbage and the recycle services last year that we are paying on top of. So it was about $850 or $1 million charge. It increased by $1 million. Then we have $2 million charge on the pension and the benefit of our employees that we had to pay on top of what we were paying for this year itself. So some of the charges are ongoing year after year. And we added 2 more police officers, which is approximately about $200,000 each. It may not be the first year. It may be when they actually get to that next highest cycle. 5 to 7 years is the cycle. They, including the benefit, including the pension, including the base. And again, we keep making these calls of adding or spending more money. We have to be mindful that these taxpayers are us. And we should optimize our money towards the right cause. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at public safety. We should, we must. But we should always look at, do we need to have, we have 2 fire stations. That doesn't go away. That is still there. We have Springfield Summit working with us, doing it. Do we need 3 headquarters? Similarly for police, similarly for everything that we do in here. We don't need to keep spending money over and over for what we can actually make it more efficient, have more coverage, but with little less money paid. So whenever we talk about, like we are passionate about Township is the landlord, they need to pay money, well, partial information. Let's look at the contract. Okay. Then Ms. Bassner talked about 9 Main Street. I hope 9 Main Street doesn't happen because that is what Ben and Frank said. And they are filling up a big shoes here. They are going to be here. They have been in the meetings ever since they've been elected. So whatever we have done about 9 Main Street, they've been a part of it. Decisions are not easy. It is from, we are picking up a bad decision out of worse. So it is implied on the township committee, and they are not secluded. They have been a part of this ever since they have been elected. There's a couple more. Sit.
You keep going, Deputy.
Sit. We just heard that we needed certain kind of experience on the SID employees. Well, we have a SID board. There are all different kind of experiences on the SID board that can put them on that line. So yes, while one could say retail experience, the other one could say restaurant experience, the other one could say township or urban planning experience, but there are different people on the board, and I think if there are more members on the board, we can hire that kind of board and get that line or that kind of experience. I think that's it. Mayor, thank you.
Well, you know, Deputy Mayor, running a government and running people that work in public service here is different than running mergers and acquisitions and ripping companies apart and taking people out and taking their jobs away.
And I don't do merger and acquisition, by the way.
But the idea that you would think that you could, we want to hire more police officers. We want to hire more firemen. And I'd like to know that when I call 911, that the police are to my house right away, or that the fire department gets to our house right away. So it might work in other places, but, and you know what? South Orange and Maplewood, I think they tried it, and I think they cost them $1 million in overtime. So
Livingston has fire department completely
for
volunteer.
now, they're looking at that. So I guess my point is that I'll stick with my police every day of the week, and I'll stick with my firefighters every day of the week. And I'll stick with our DPW, who does a great job. And I also have to mention our volunteer, I do it on my mayor's calls as well, and you'll hear it this Friday. Our volunteer first aid squad needs us. We need volunteers. And here's what happens. So a town like Maplewood, they couldn't get people to be volunteers anymore. So the fire department is now doing all the rescue work, right? So you have to be careful about that, where, you know, all of a sudden we're not getting enough volunteers, and then the fire department's going to have to take over all of that. So I think if anybody, you know, Steve Roth runs a great, Mariglo was on the rescue squad. So the 15 years. So we really need our volunteers. I think it's important, if you're not doing anything and you can help volunteer, it's something you'd like, you're special people, and we really need that in our town. But I'm all about the cops and firemen, and let's keep hiring them. All right, Ms. Romano. Okay, Ms. Prupus.
Just a few things.
Sure.
I do think that we should get a public forum on, oh, I'm sorry, better?
Yeah, speak it.
I think we should get a public forum about the affordable housing. So not everybody watched the case management conference yesterday, and I think that that information needs to get out to the public as soon as possible. So I don't know if that's something.
Are you going to be able to get, well, we're finished here this evening, but I don't know if you'll be able to get that done tonight before January 5th, when you all have to meet with because there's been many let's be crystal clear about this. There's been many public forums about affordable housing in this town, and they're all online. But this does have a different wrinkle to it, because it's the judge who's now saying, hey, Milburn, you guys really aren't complying, and we're going to start fining you $500 a day. So Milburn needs to
$500 to $1,000.
Right. So all those people that voted for that change need to know, yes, that could be happening. However, I don't know if you'll have enough time between today, which is December 19th, and January 5th, before the judge meets with council again, whomever that may be, to have enough time to get
it. It could be just it could be a forum where maybe Jared and Joe explain what was said. So I don't know, I think it's a good idea. Alex, I don't know if you think that there's like time for that to happen. A Zoom or something, just so that people know exactly what's going on. So,
I hear you.
yeah,
I hear you.
so I think it's really important. The
Folks, we're still meeting. Thank you.
the HPC, the retraction.
He's gonna talk
letter,
about it.
Awesome. And I had one other thing. Flood mitigation committee, thank you for all the hard work that you're doing. We were really lucky, right? What Alex said, like, had the rain gone another hour, the downtown would have been flooded. So I know you guys are working on a lot and you've done a lot. My one request is to look at the downtown and try to figure out something to address that. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure all of you can figure out, you know, had it kept raining and just how are you gonna protect the downtown? So that's awesome, thank you. Puts my, you know, mind and heart at ease. And that's it.
So, Mr. McDonald, if you would address everything that wasn't addressed so far this evening.
Sure.
And one last thing before you do that. Back to the paper mill for a second. Do you know, not everybody needs fields to play on, because not every child is involved in athletics. Some children are involved in athletics. Some children are involved in the theater. Some children are involved in the band or orchestra. Some play football. Everybody has different talents and treasures. So it shouldn't be a zero sum, one against the other. There's the word in the English language called and we can do this. We can do this and we can do this. Milburn is in really great financial, that's the word I'm looking for. Standing. We have no debt. We have the lowest tax rate in the state. We are one of the wealthiest communities in the state. From a real estate perspective, I think Short Hills from Zillow with price per house was ranked 7th, and the first 6 towns were all Jersey Shore towns, I might add, and then Milburn, then Short Hills, 07, 07, 08, and Milburn even ranked in the top 50. So the point is, we've got really great property values in this town. We've got really low tax rate in this town, and we have fabulous services. So something to think about when different, yes, I agree with Ms. Iglo. This town hall could look fabulously redone. And yes, I agree, could do something with the paper mill. And yes, there's stuff talking about with the fields, because the rec department's been working with the high school with the fields. And yes, eventually to get a nice cricket pitch. But by the way, there are cricket pitches in this county that people can use as well that are proper cricket pitches. But it doesn't have to always be a zero sum. If we do this, then we can't do that. So that's what I'm gonna leave you with, and now you can speak. Thank you, Sarah. Yep.
I'm gonna try to touch on as much as I can. The Deputy Mayor Vinayak did answer the question regarding the number of police officers. He had asked that question earlier. Yes, it is 59. And we do anticipate a retirement early in 2024, so that will leave us down 2, which we will end up certifying another list early in the new year to get that back up to the current staffing level. Indemnification ordinances, as Mr. Mariziti had mentioned, they are common and prevalent in communities because what occurs, and for this instance in particular, is that public officials, employees, as they're working in the confines and the constructs of their job, are sued personally for things that they may do. And so the township committee has the ability to indemnify those employees as long as they're working in the confines of their job, and that nothing that transpired or comes to light as a result of a case is criminal in nature and nefarious in nature, at which time the committee will have the ability to not indemnify those actions. The other thing of note, and as Mr. Feld had asked, who's the attorney? They have the choice, quite honestly, whether to use the township attorney or to use their own attorney. they would have to submit, I mean, there's an entire ordinance on this and I'm not gonna recite it line for line, but they have the ability to choose, generally speaking, in cases like the one that we're facing, with regard to the police department, they will end up most likely utilizing the township's attorney, which was assigned by the joint insurance fund. And should it come to a point where their lawsuits personally are not dropped or are not otherwise adjudicated, then the township would indemnify them again, as long as nothing comes out that is criminal in nature, or a list of reasons in the indemnification ordinance that would preclude the township from indemnifying. There was a parking deck funding.
Just a question on that. If they chose their own attorney,
You have to approve it.
would we be on the hook to just pay what we would have paid if they had chosen the township attorney, and they would pay any overage?
Correct. And you have to, and the committee has to approve it. Parking deck funding question. The funding of that, the parking deck work is from a 2011 bond ordinance. It's found on D6 of the township's audit as being funded. That is the remainder of the parking deck construction ordinance, which is fully funded. As you know, we've paid that ordinance off. There's about $250,000 left in it. We need to do some maintenance at the parking deck, and this funding is going to be used for that. In terms of historic preservation, when we had a conversation with historic preservation to discuss the contents of the notice that went out, in particular, the section of the notice that stated that no work could be done as the consideration took place. We asked the attorney for the Historic Preservation Commission to present a retraction to the HPC of that particular language, because that is not the case. If you read the reference in the letter, in the notice, and it points back to a section of the ordinance that does not state that no work can be done while consideration is taken for up to 180 days or whatever it might have been. So that was the purpose of the retraction letter. That was not presented at the HPC meeting on December 7th. So I would just ask the Township Committee, with your consensus, that again, that was supposed to come from the HPC, who had started the designation process and had put out those notices, that if you're comfortable with the township putting that information out to those residents that received that letter, we will do that expeditiously before the end of the year.
So by certified mail, in the same manner that the first letter went out?
Yes, we can do that.
I think it's important to do that.
Okay.
I just want to understand what the letter just says work can now be done. That's all that it's saying.
Yeah,
'Cause I think there's some feeling that I don't think is what's been approved, that this process is ended forever and ever. And I don't think that anyone has committed to that.
So, again,
Correct.
yes, and
That's
so
correct.
again, I'm only speaking to I think which was information that was incorrect.
Yes,
that was
the
put out.
notice. The notice was incorrect.
Correct.
It
The notice-
referred to a part of the ordinance in our code that doesn't exist. And the residents need to know that that was false information and that they were given wrong information.
It was a mistake, that's right.
Yeah, but it's still false. They need to be given the correct information.
Correct.
And that needs to happen through the
Right.
township, and that
We
doesn't.
could do, because they wouldn't have, I missed the last meeting where this was discussed, unfortunately, so I didn't know that. So when I went to the HPC meeting as liaison, they just were discussing different people's projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't even know
Understood.
that.
And I did follow up with the attorney and found out that it hadn't
Right.
been.
I also think it's kind of weird, I just need to say this, that we sat with the attorney who said, committee women Romano and Alex and I met with the attorney, just trying to figure all this out because there was false information referencing our code, which wasn't true. So we sat with the attorney. Maggie,
I'm talking, yep.
okay, thanks. I mean, I have no one to whisper to. We sat with the attorney who said that it was going to be, that she felt that this needed to happen. So again, I don't understand how that didn't come through the HPC, and I think there's like a big disconnect here with the HPC that needs to be addressed. Like, why wasn't that on the agenda for that last meeting?
Well, I'm the liaison for the HPC.
Uh-huh.
You had a meeting I didn't know about, nor was I made aware of it. I know that the HPC chairwoman's reached out for you
I
numerous
spoke
times.
to Allison, this has
No,
nothing
but-
to do with Allison.
No, but you didn't get back to her right away, so I'm just going on the record
This
with
has
that.
nothing to do with
No,
Allison. It has to
but
do
I'm
with
putting
the
that on the
attorney.
record that you didn't return her phone calls.
Oh
However,
my God, I returned her phone calls in a
you
very.
didn't. You didn't.
Wow,
However,
my
the
goodness.
the attorney, you had a meeting with an attorney that I didn't know about. So how could
Well,
we?
this whole process happened, Maggie, the HBC that we didn't know about, you never once reported on it the entire
I
year.
did. We reported on the fact that there was the
That
element
they
of
were
the
gonna
master
designate-
plan.
That they were gonna designate the neighborhood? Wow, I must have missed
No, no,
a
I didn't
lot.
say that.
Right,
Don't
so
put
I
words in my mouth.
understand
At
why-
our last meeting, please, Ms.
No,
Krupas,
Maggie, please.
please behave.
You should behave too.
We are. However,
Are
what
we?
I'm trying to say to you is,
I just
Nobody-
asked that the HPC, the letter go out. Alex, I'm done. The letter needs to go
Good.
out to the people and let them know that there was reference to a code in our zoning ordinance that doesn't exist and they don't have to follow it. That's it.
So,
correct.
so, understood and completely agree, that we need to get that information out.
Great.
I
Thank
just
you.
want to also clarify, because I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding maybe. At the last meeting, we had discussed the revisions of the historic preservation ordinance in the zoning code. And while there was some back and forth about how that process would take place, I think it was generally agreed upon by the township committee that we would utilize the zoning re-exam subcommittee to
Yeah.
do that.
Correct, so it is not a new committee.
It is not a new
Oh,
committee,
right.
correct? Just
It's an existing committee that may have new members given the reorg, but it is an existing committee.
Correct, just want to clarify that, and just to further clarify that it is not this township committee's or charge to stop this process. I think we've said from the beginning that process was noticed and started by the Historic Preservation Commission. It would be theirs to stop, but at this time, I think, at least on the current board, or the township committee, there was concern over the designation and it was expressed at public meetings. And, but again, I just want to be clear. I know I'm maybe the bearer of bad news, but that was not what, was the intention of whatever was stated. That's the historic preservation's process. They need to end that process officially.
And they have not done that at this
And they have
point.
not
The
done that at
process
this
has been tabled, but not stopped.
Correct.
And so I think people some people, I've gotten emails today, in fact, from some of the people that spoke earlier, that is a misunderstanding. The process has been tabled.
Correct.
And is not active at this time, but that's all that we can say.
And to further that, the Historic Preservation Commission has committed that that they are having public information sessions and discussions, if that should ever come up, again. So that's not to say it will, but I'm just saying that they have committed to that. Paper mill, so I had said this last night, the paper mill held a public information session. I think it was attended by about 25 people or so. Myself and the township CFO were in attendance at that meeting. I'll just state what I stated at that meeting regarding the notice of it, and I agree with Ms. Feld. If individuals that are not getting, I would love to look into that, because the paper mill sent out a postcard to 6,232 residents between single family and 4-family homes. That was a list that was provided by the township's tax assessor. We had sent out 2 notifications via the township's Millburn alert system, again with that 9,000 number, and it was done via email to residents.
I got a card too, and I would like to add something about the paper mill as well. It may say in the lease that they're responsible for the infrastructure, and they are. However, if they're coming looking for help and funding, and that's what they choose to use it for, then it doesn't really matter what it says in the lease. Either we choose to grant that request or not, but you know, and if we don't choose to grant it and there's an accident, yes, at this point they are responsible for fixing it. But that doesn't preclude us from choosing to grant that request.
It also doesn't necessarily indemnify us from liability on the subject.
So we could be held liable.
So the other thing I just want to mention about the paper mill, and just to again put the information out to the public of the actual request and what that request is for. Again, it was a $7.5 million request, $1.2 million of which are held in reserve. I don't think that the other part was the purchase of property that they had purchased to acquire additional parking, which is, you know, informally known as the septic property, to make the campus all township owned. There was also a historic facade that is going to be moved to a new location to continue to create or preserve the postcard image of Paper Mill Playhouse as you approach from Old Short Hills Road, as you see from the train. And then the additional money that's a part of that request would go toward the actual construction project. So
will we own, ultimately, if this all goes through, would we own that property that they just purchased?
Correct. And so so I just wanted to put that information out there. I also wanted to report on something that I didn't report on, if that's okay, Mayor.
Sure.
A while back, the township committee had tasked me with figuring out a way to bring animal control back in-house. So I'm happy to report that as of 1/1/2024, animal control will be serviced by the Township's Department of Public Works.
Yay. Good news.
We are utilizing 2 current employees that will work for the Department of Public Works, and when there are no calls, they will work for the Department of Public Works. They both are ACO certified, but they will also be responsible for responding to overtime calls outside of work hours at night and on the weekends. And again, I think the benefit of this approach is that we are going to recruit additional public works employees that are eager to service the community and be animal control officers. And also certainly they will receive some overtime when those calls come in. We just actually had a meeting with the union today to solidify some of those provisions. So
that scope will include deer management, which has been an issue.
Well, they're not going to be out there deer management, but they will deal with deer.
Dead deer.
Yes.
I was trying to say it's not nice, but deer removal and.
And I do want to say that we ran projections on the cost of this. Given the calls of service for Animal Control Solutions, which are a private carrier from 2022 and 2023, and based on the fact that these individuals are employed here and will be working during the day and will be permitted to respond during the day as employees of the Department of Public Works, much like if you had a volunteer firefighter in Public Works, they would respond to a fire. The amount of calls that are considered overtime calls outside of the working hours of Public Works is about 40%. So as it's projected right now, and of course things change and there are other costs to it, such as equipment and vet bills and holding and stuff like that. But from a personnel perspective, it's going to cost us roughly between $35,000 and $40,000.
That's nice.
We do. We've repurposed the vehicle to be utilized as animal control.
Are these the same 2 guys?
Folks, I'm going to take a 5-minute break.
Alex, were these the same 2 guys that were doing?
And we're back. You ready? All right, here we go. What? Oh, yeah. No, Mr. Carlin said it. Are they infinity keys? And I saw the infinity thing. Okay. The Township Committee will now consider consent agenda resolutions. Are there any comments from the committee in regards to any items listed on the consent agenda?
No.
No. Anyone? May I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-277 through Resolution 23-283, which are listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prufus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernaya?
Yes.
Mayor Megan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 23-284, adopt provisions of Chapter 48 under which a public employee may agree to pay for the SHBP and/or SEHBP coverage for certain retirees. Are there any comments from the committee in regards to Resolution 23-284?
No.
None? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-284?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prufus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernaya?
Yes.
Mayor Megan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 23-285, authorize indemnification of township employees. Are there any comments from the committee in regards to Resolution 23-285?
No.
Nope, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-285?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prufus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernaya?
Yes.
Mayor Megan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have already approved Resolution 23-288. So now we will go to what we're all waiting for. 2024 Milburn Short Hills Business Organization Budget Public Hearing Consideration of Adoption. 23-286. So the 2024 Milburn Short Hills Business Organization Budget was introduced by the TC at our November 21st, 2023 meeting. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-286, which authorizes the township to read the 2024 Short Hills Business Organization Budget by title?
I move that resolution 23-286 be approved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prufus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernaya?
Yes.
Mayor Megan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to refer to Steve Grillo, who is the Executive Director, for any final comments on the 2024 Milburn Short Hills Business Organization budget.
No comments for me this evening, Mayor, but members of the board would like to speak.
Okie dokie, artichoke. Who would like to speak from the board? Mr. Parlavecchio,
I'll be quick.
who's limping up to the dais.
That's how important it was.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
Deputy Mayor, members of the Township Committee, Michael Parlavecchio, resident of Short Hills, also the soon-to-be outgoing Chair of Explore Milburn Short Hills. First, thank you to Mayor and Deputy Mayor for stepping into the arena. Not an easy thing to do, and I thank you for your years of really good service.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. As you've heard, Explore Milburn Short Hills has produced a number of very important and well-received in-person events over this past year that have brought thousands of people, not only residents, but members of other communities into this town where they thankfully have shopped and dined in our many commercial areas of town. The people behind that are our volunteers in part, our board members, our board of trustees is made up of township residents, of business owners, of property owners who share their times and talents with this township to move it forward. We are also lucky to have the service of our professional staff who directly interact with our business owners on a regular basis, provide their expertise in areas of economic development and marketing and other areas that are here to enhance the business community and to overall enhance this town. So I'm just here to ask for your support in moving this ordinance forward, adopting this ordinance, approving the budget for 2024 so that Explore Milburn Short Hills can continue its mission. I thank you for creating this board to start with, and we are very thankful for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Parlavecchio. Is there any other member of the board of Explore Milburn that wishes to speak?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay. I hereby open the public hearing for any comments on the 2024 Milburn Short Hills Business Organization Budget. We're open. Open for business. That's okay. Come on, it'll be fine.
Jackie Benjamin Lieberberg, Short Hills resident.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, TC members. A special thank you to Mayor Miggins and Deputy Mayor Vinayak for your service to the community.
Thank you.
It is not an easy job. The purpose of a special improvement district is to promote, grow, and support local businesses, property owners, residents, and visitors. Milburn Township SID ordinance designates a district management corporation whose mission is to encourage the economic, cultural, and social vitality of Milburn Township through increased marketing and visibility, improved and renewed infrastructure, and local business development engagement. That is the SID mission statement. For the past 3.5 years, I've had the privilege and honor to serve on the SID since its inception. The organization was established to assist our business owners throughout the 5 districts on a variety of initiatives, activities, educational opportunities, and has provided vital programs during some very challenging economic times. In the past 3.5 years, the following are just a few of the many accomplishments of the SID. Number 1, given businesses a financial lifeline during COVID through a gift card promotion. 2, assisted businesses dramatically impacted by Hurricane Ida with a direct cash infusion. 3, dramatically reduced the vacancy rate through hands-on leadership and follow through and engagement. 4, works closely with the township on traffic and signage initiatives, work with the TBL, Essex County and Chamber on a variety of artistic and beautification work and installations. 5, engaged residents, visitors with innovative programming throughout the year. And in the summer, the pedestrian mall and the music has created a unique vitality and engagement in our community. Milburn Short Hills is a destination. 6, provided ongoing training classes for businesses, financial workshops, social media training, marketing, and safety protocols. Just a minute.
Keep going.
Under the leadership of Stephen Grillo and his marketing director, Amanda Dean, the SID has made Milburn Short Hills a more robust, engaged community for businesses, residents, and visitors. I believe we must continue to support and move forward with this vital organization that has contributed so much to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lieberberg.
Hi there, everybody. My name's Lily Bryan, and I work at Studio 1200, which is at 511 Milburn Avenue in Short Hills. We're an architecture and interior design firm. We have designed many buildings in town, 2 downtown now, Live Breads, Splurge Bakery, Evolve Fitness, and countless homes in the Milburn Short Hills area. I've worked at Studio 1200 for about 7 years now, and I never really felt like a part of the community, even though Studio 1200 is a vital part of the community, until Steve showed up and he came to our building and he toured with us, and he even took the time to chat with Nancy Doherty, who is one of our principals, who, by the way, just became the AIA New Jersey Architect of the Year. And Steve was so kind to promote our business to the other businesses. So we really feel supported by him. And he's had several events in Short Hills, and we really feel like we're a part of a neighborhood right now with the stores down there. And we made some great connections, and we do business with each other now. And that's all because of him. I know there's a lot more that happens and needs to happen in the main part of Milburn. But he didn't forget about us, and we really appreciate it. And we would love to see the SID continue with Steve as its leader. Haven't worked directly with Amanda, but I know she's doing great things too. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Who's Pat?
Thank you.
My name is Jeffrey Phil, live in Alexander Lane, Short Hills, New Jersey. I think we have to put this in historical perspective. We've all heard about the marketing, we're gonna hear about this, but we have to talk about the rule of law. Last Thursday, our state Supreme Court issued an opinion about the concept of ultra-virus. I didn't get involved in the litigation till November 2021. That's after Judge Moore twice recommended, suggested, cajoled this township to mediate and not litigate the statutory interpretation and the validity of the appointed 5-district SID under state law. In June of 2021, Mr. Viniak says, "We will never mediate, we will always litigate." In calendar year, next year, we will have an answer as to the statutory validity. Prior to me coming here, because in June, end of June of 2020, my family sold a business. For 25 years, I ran a family business. The state looked to me, because I was a destination business, our family was a destination business in Orange. In 2007, I fought the creation of a SID in Orange. The same strategy you're hearing now was used against me in 2007, character assassination. In September 2020, the current secretary posted on social media that I filed frivolous litigation. No court has ever found that. In 2007, the municipal attorney of Orange called me a plantation owner because I objected to a SID. You have to understand there are laws to creation. There was no feasibility study done in August of 2020. Many of you who are here were not involved. Many people who are spoken were on the original trustees. Mr. Parlavecchio, on the first meeting of the SID, said, "Even though I am an attorney, I will never give an opinion as legal opinions." We've asked Oprah for various attorneys to give us, is there a written opinion as to the validity of the expanded appointed 5-district SID under state law? No written document has ever been produced to me or others. Well, let's look at the last year as the cost of businesses. You shifted the cost of commercial solid waste. There's a state new requirement that we haven't complied with, that they have to, every business has to produce an insurance certificate to the town. That's usually another $100. There's an additional amount of monies that has to be paid for the SID assessment. The state just did a survey. They said about the small businesses of, let's say, 25 people, only 33% are profitable. I understand the marketing, but we were talking about 5 different districts, and it's a question about taxation without representation. There's questions about this lawsuit that what you took discovery for stuff that had nothing to do about the statutory interpretation. This is a unique SID. Most SIDs are not funded by taxpayers' dollars. That there's now an ordinance in place. The first 2 years, 100% of the operating in 2020, 2021 were paid by the township. Starting in 2022, 50% of the executive director's salary is paid by taxpayers. And there's questions of whether that was disclosed to the taxpayers in 2020 during COVID, during that hearing. I say many of you go back to look what happened in August. There's also a question about whether this entity under the United States tax code is a controlled entity of this township, because all the members of the board of trustees are appointed by you. They're not elected by the people that pay the special assessment. No auditor has ever delivered an opinion whether this entity, the SID, is a controlled entity of you. If they are, they're not entitled to 501c3. I know my time's up, but I'm trying to keep you a record. I've been repetitive over the time. What is going on here? You're going to hear about how great all these activities are. That's one part. But you also have the law, what was created. It goes back to also when we did the downtown closures. The question is, did we comply? But there's also really another issue here. It goes back to the master plan. To get the thing goes about Transit Village. We're going to hear that word.
Mr. Fell.
1 second. It goes back to Transit Village, Main Street, designations for granting. A predicate to get Main Street designation, this is because of my experience in Orange, is having a SID. That was never disclosed to people. If you want a SID, and I think what we're saying, keep it to downtown, because that's what you've been arguing about for always.
Thank you, Mr.
Let-
Feld.
Cut loose the other districts.
Thank you, Mr. Feld.
Good evening, Phil Kershaw, Millburn resident. At first, I just wanted to briefly thank Mayor Megan's, Deputy Mayor Vinayak for all the work you've done the
Thank
past
you
3
so much.
years.
Thank you.
I have to say that I was disappointed when I saw you weren't running again for reelection. but
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for the time you did put in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I have a perspective as not being a restaurateur, not being a bakery person, not being a retailer, not being a business person, not being a legal expert. I can just tell you that I'm one of the lucky people who does get the emails about activities in the town. I get emails about of Explore Millburn. And I got out sometimes to see just what was going on. And the main thing is I've been very happy to see the activity, the energy, the vibrancy. And obviously I see people from town, a lot of kids. I see people from out of town, as has been mentioned. And I see also the advantage taken of Main Street when it's closed off. After Complete Streets widened it, did the bump outs, we put the lights over, it makes a festive area. It's something that you see in some other towns, and I was very happy to finally see it in Millburn. So, and I've spoken to Steve Grillo, I've seen him at different events. And I'm happy to, so my impression is a very positive one. And on the other hand, I'm happy, I saw the SID that was there previously, I saw chaos, I saw fights. You know, now I see some organization, and I'm willing to sit back and trust that the organization is doing the job it should, because I see that from the outside. And I definitely would recommend that you continue the budget and continue to support this SID. And I just think it's been good for the town in every way.
Thank you, Mr. Kirsch.
Hello, friends.
Mr. Wasserman.
Anyway, Richard Wasserman, former deputy mayor. And first I want to thank Maggie and Sanjeev for your dedicated service to the township. Public service is indeed an incredible honor, but it's an incredible challenge. And I'm not sure all of our neighbors understand the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this endeavor. And I really want to thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
I stand tonight in full support of Explore Millburn with my good friend Jackie and all of our dedicated volunteers from Explore. In 3 short years, this organization has really done so much for this township. We recruited an incredible team between Steve and Amanda, and we have such a hardworking board. Explore works day in and day out, creating, recruiting new businesses, working to keep the vacancy rate low, engaging our residents in public art, and a fun summer music program. And so much more, as you know, Steve is involved with traffic and many other endeavors in the township. And I don't want people to forget what happened during Ida when our businesses were down. Many people were wiped out. It really was Steve on the ground, you know, supporting the businesses as an extra hand, distributing, fundraising and distributing, I think about $420,000 at the time. I mean, I'm not sure what would have happened if we didn't have the SID in place during that time. And as we know from flood mitigation, you never know. I mean, we can always mitigate floods, but you never know if there's something else that's, you know, that's coming. So I just want to say to you that, and again, I've been on the board. I've been lucky enough to work on the board these past few years. And you have to also remember what it was like when the DMDA wasn't here. You know, they tried, they worked really hard, but post DMDA, if you remember, we had a town, you know, we didn't have a lot of support for the businesses. There were many merchants that were getting together, trying to put together a business, you know, a business advocacy group. And at the time, we saw that there was a need for a support group. And with Jackie's help, with Tara's help, and at the time, I don't know how you'll vote now, we came together and we created an amazing organization. So I'll keep it short anyway, but that's what I'd like you to consider. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Christine Best, Milburn Township. I was a retail executive for 25 years, and I've done everything in retail, actually, from scrubbing the bottom of the toilet at Banana Republic to, you know, being the chair at a bunch of different smaller retail organizations, starting up the Nook, starting up a bunch of other retail organizations required by like Alibaba, et cetera. So retail, and I've also worked in almost every category of business that there is, from women's fashion to coats to outerwear, bedding, furniture, lighting. I've worked at places like Martha Stewart. I've worked in food businesses. So I want to just define, so no one, somebody challenged the definition of retail. Retail is everything that's like any front center shop in town. So a restaurant's a retailer, and a bakery is a retailer, and so is a footwear shop, so is a personal care product shop, so is a dispensary, et cetera. Those are all retailers. It's as defined by a definition of retailer. So I actually support some type of organization, and my call out that I just wanted to talk about is I do think that more money should be spent, but I don't think it should be, I don't think it should be forced on retailers. I think retailers should have the freedom of choice. Because, for example, I noticed that there were retail classes, some types of different marketing classes that they had. And I don't think that Mr. Grillo or his team is in any place whatsoever to be educating retailers of this town in terms of social media marketing. And I'll give you a case in point. Explore Milburn's social media site. Like if you just go on there, it's just a basic person. It's like all the people that like everything on there are the retailers. They're not actually customers from Summit or customers from Maplewood. That's like a marketing disaster, in my opinion. So I just want to point that out. So what I support is, and I'm not saying he's done a great job. I'm not trying to sit and criticize. You guys have done an amazing job, your board. I'm not saying that. It's definitely better. But I'd like to understand, what are the year-over-year vacancy rates? Like I'd like to see it 20 years back, like, because I think actually we've lost a lot of really great stores. Like Guido's gone. Guido's a great store. Like it's gone. I mean, Curate was a great store. There's not as many great stores from a retail perspective in this town as there are on Summit. There's just not, and even Chatham. So I think we need to talk about that. And some of the vacancies, like it looks run down. And also the architecture is part of the SID. Like choosing the right architecture for the town is really important. I don't agree with all the Studio 1200 designs. I think that they're not in keeping with the township's character. And I think there's a lot more. I know my time's up, so I couldn't, talk about everything else. And I also think we need to talk about changing demographics, because we want to actually be very inclusive to all the people that live in this town and actually provide retail services to everybody. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Best. We have two online. But we know who she is.
Hi.
Good evening.
My name is Carrie Smith. I am an almost small business owner in Milburn, along with my business partner, Peggy. We're opening Curious Kids Early Learning Studio in January. We're very excited, and we've been open for 7 years in Jersey City, and we're excited to be opening our second location in Milburn. We signed our lease way back in like May or June. And the SID has been absolutely amazing, unlike anything we've experienced in Jersey City, and has just really set apart our experience opening here from anything we've experienced before. There's nothing like this in Jersey City, definitely. And just a sense of community and support they've provided has been incredible. So we just feel very encouraged. We just wanted to get on here and kind of give a shout out. We're obviously haven't opened yet, and we're not even there yet, but we just feel so strongly about the support they've given us. We wanted to make sure it's taken into consideration. And also just that we're not really talking about like corporate backed businesses. Like we're like a micro business. We're really small. These are like small community building, character providing businesses that you're getting into town and keeping in town with programs like the SID. We sponsored an igloo at the Winter Village. We did the Halloween event, and they helped us partner with another small business so that we could provide sample classes to kind of get people interested in our program before we open in January. We've gained hundreds of social media followers, And we're just really prepared and ready to be successful when we open in January. So I just wanted to give a quick thanks and my point of view as an almost business owner in Milburn.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord. Hello, Mr. Abbott.
JJ Abbott, Short Hills resident for 21 years. I'm the managing partner of Premier Creative, which is a digital agency that has been in Milburn for 21 years, since 2002 operating. The vacancy rate was at 16%. Under the SID's leadership, it's now at 3%. That's an absolute huge home run. The SID is outpacing all of our local peers in terms of other communities. We're an extremely dense and competitive area. There's, I think, more than 13 different other SIDs in the area. We have to have an improvement district organization. Businesses in town need the confidence that your group will support them and fund it. I've seen a massive difference over the last 20 years. In fact, my office is where the DMD or whatever that group was called used to be, over the Milburn Theater, which is now the Charles Schwab business. The budget, I think, is under $300,000. I think there's 495 businesses. If we conservatively estimate those businesses are doing $200 million in revenues combined, if you take a basic MBA or business class at a university, the standard is that you spend 2 to 4% of revenues on marketing. I know this because I've worked with over 500 corporations in the last 29 years of my business. So that'd be a minimum of a budget of 400 to 600,000. I think they have less than 300,000. Steve and Amanda have been stretching every single dollar, working on behalf of all the businesses in town. And the SID is an investment in these businesses, no different than you have investments in roads, in trucks, in any kind of CapEx expense that you have in the town. It's a very hyper-competitive environment. We see that housing goes up, so why shouldn't their budget go up? Where's the priority? Lastly, I think it's really terrible that anyone on this board would question the professionalism of our SID director. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but it's completely inappropriate and unnecessary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. No one else online, correct?
Nope, nobody else.
Okay, folks, floor is still open.
Hi, Ben Stoller, incoming Township Committee-elect, Milburn. Thank you, Mr. Abbott. I agree wholeheartedly with your comments. As I come to Township Committee, I hope to bring professionalism, civility, kindness, empathy. What happened at the committee a couple of weeks ago, where Mr. Grillo was treated poorly by this Township Committee, is not professional. I do not expect that to happen under our tenure, under my watch. It was insulting, and I apologize, Mr. Grillo. Milburn is open for business. We must treat our vendors and our customers who are businesses who are coming here as if we are open for business. Mr. Grillo is a professional. He's employed by our township. We cannot make this personal. Once again, Mr. Grillo, I apologize for how you were treated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Township Committee, I'm Vicky Powell, and myself and my mother have been a fixture in downtown Milburn for 38 years at our business Shala's. Tonight, I stand here passionately supporting Explore Milburn Short Hills and its dedicated staff, Steve and Amanda. My comments tonight will be brief because I feel this should not even be a discussion. With all the success that Explore has had since 2020, a dissenting vote is inconceivable to me. It's disheartening to hear the constant negative messaging and criticism directed at the organization and its staff by a small vocal group. With 120 property owners within the SID and maybe 3 in opposition, countless other property owners in support, and 33 letters in favor of the SID, and pass this budget on the majority, not the vocal minority. History continues to repeat itself, and it's time to get off the hamster wheel. I fail to understand why anyone would object to an entity striving to uplift and improve our business community while our neighboring towns are supporting their SIDs, many of which far underperform our own. Why would we eliminate ours yet again? 2024 is a time for aggressive modernization of business, not dismantling the progress we've made. Eliminating Explore would be a severe blow to our business community, which they steadfastly supported, especially during the challenging times of COVID and flooding. This swift organization for fundraisers and ongoing assistance kept many businesses afloat after the flood. Explore provides invaluable resources like education, social media management, a website, business engagement, events, to name a few. I also want to commend the staff, particularly Steve, whose dedication and tireless efforts remind me of our first executive director, Tara Bradish. Criticism has been voiced regarding Steve's leadership and other clients. In this age where work extends beyond traditional hours, multitasking is a reality. I find it ironic that the concern is raised while Committeeman Prupis herself manages both the downtown business and a role on the Township Committee. As for the budget and the support, the cost per household is a mere $7, a small price to pay to ensure our town remains vibrant and supportive of our local businesses. Amanda's excellent work in marketing and events, combined with Steve's effort, makes them a formidable team. Keep in mind that the $204,000 collected for the 5-district SID is the same as the old DMDA assessment. The current SID serves 4 more districts, 250 more businesses. That increase results in higher costs for services, more planters, more banners, more signs, etc. Steve should be commended for stretching a dollar, not criticized for collecting a paycheck. Let's shift our focus from criticism to support. Passing this budget is crucial for our business community's survival. We're the first to be asked for donations to schools and sports teams. Now it's our turn to ask for support. Our businesses are the lifeblood of our town, and a thriving community benefits us all. Thank you. And lastly, I have another letter in support of the SID from another business in town who couldn't be here tonight, but did send it to all the Township Committee. I want to put it on the record, Oxford Jewelers.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
Thank you.
Hi, Dominique Urso, 514 Melbourne Avenue. I just think everyone should understand the committee and the group that supports this, the small power that supports this. I don't think you understand the tentacles that it has further. And I think we can all understand that when you have a business, it's a personal business expense to market. It shouldn't be, thought of as the community to help. It's a good thing to have community together, but it shouldn't be at someone else's expense to advertise and say, my business. It's my responsibility. And there's many ways to do that for free. So, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to say before I close public comment?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Nadej Nikol. I speak here as a resident and commercial property owner. I wanted to offer my insight of Explore Milburn Short Hills and why I think we need to support it. I would like to particularly comment on the statement that the SID benefits a small group of business, so they should only be the one contributing, paying into it, or that it should be voluntary on elected by businesses themselves. I don't think this logic is very sound. We don't apply that logic to school. People who don't have any children in school still pay their share of the tax because Great schools benefit everyone. We don't apply that logic to road maintenance. People who don't drive still have to pay their share of tax to maintain infrastructure, because great infrastructure benefit everyone. So why don't we apply that logic to the SID? Explore works to build a strong community. And even if most of the events are taking place downtown, a strong downtown benefits everyone. It's attractive for other businesses to come and establish in town. It's attractive for people to come and visit our town. It's attractive for people to come and live here. A lot of events are taking place downtown, but that's where most businesses are, to be fair. And also, having worked as a volunteer and as a former board member on a lot of events, I can assure you that there's a lot of deliberate effort to make sure that every district is represented whenever we do an event. So everybody's benefiting from great schools, everybody's benefiting from great infrastructure. In the same way, everybody's benefiting from having a great town, which is what Explore is about. We benefit because we get increased property value and we get great quality of life. So the SID's efficiency goes much, much deeper than how much dollar comes to which store. A strong SID is a strong business community. It's a strong sense of belonging, which makes Millburn an attractive place to work, to be, and to live. We need to protect this entity and the investment that has been made so far. There is still work to do, and Steve is the best person for the job. He is talented, he is diplomatic, he's knowledgeable, he's solution-oriented, and he's responsive. We are so very lucky to have him steering this organization. And Amanda is one of the most efficient person I have ever met, and she's a real go-doer. Together, they're working very hard at bettering our town. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Ms. Nicole.
Hi, Tracy Levine. I'm a longtime resident of Millburn and a member of the Special Improvement District Board of Trustees, serving as Secretary and Marketing Committee Co-Chair. A key thing that attracted and keeps my family here is the vibrant and diverse business community. As I've always had a passion for small and independent businesses, I'm proud to have been a founding member and a current board member of Explore Millburn Short Hills and of the organization's accomplishments over the past 3.5 years to support and grow our local business and community. In a region rich with terrific towns and active SIDs, it's key for Millburn to invest in our SID to attract businesses, customers, and their spending. Importantly, as you've heard earlier, the vacancy rate has been reduced from 16% to 3%, almost unheard of, since the organization's launch in fall 2020. Explore plays a key role in attracting and onboarding new businesses. Nearly 100 have opened in this town, about 50 downtown and 40 in other districts. This past year, it's been incredible to see the results of Explore's efforts with hundreds of businesses from all SID districts and thousands of community members engaged through events, promotional efforts, training, grants, and more. The value of a SID in today's economy is highly driven by the knowledge and the resources personally provided by the professional staff to hundreds of businesses, complemented by the robust schedule of in-person events that draw thousands of community members and visitors to Millburn Short Hills. I also would like to commend the outstanding work and dedication of both Executive Director Steve Grillo and Marketing Director Amanda Dean. They are consummate professionals who consistently deliver on and frequently surpass their responsibility. Great SID directors are in high demand. We are very lucky. If you enjoyed summer live music on Main Street, patronized a business impacted by Hurricane Ida that's still thriving today, enjoyed a great new local shop or restaurant, shopped online at a local business that never had e-commerce before, warmed up at Winter Village fire pits and igloos, viewed new public art, visited favorite stores and discovered new ones at Girls' Night Out, dined with a special offer while also supporting Opportunity Project during Restaurant Week, and many more, you have experienced what Explore Millburn Short Hills is all about. The board has worked diligently towards excellent choices in terms of vendors and consultants, as well as programs and services that comprise the 2024 budget, designed for high impact in a fiscally responsible manner. This includes an expanded focus on fundraising and sponsorships, which is possible as a 501c3 organization to increase the total budget without increasing the assessment or the township portion and the taxpayer portion. I encourage final approval of the budget by the Township Committee so that the Explore board and professional staff can continue their important work with township leaders and staff, SID constituents, and community volunteers toward our common goal of making Milburn Short Hills the best it can be. Thank you also to all of you for all of your service and leadership.
Thank you. Folks, going, gone?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Marina Marcheva. I'm an owner of a small business on Milburn Avenue. It's called Marina's Treasures. We went through a very hard time. We went through COVID. We went through 2 huge constructions in town. And of course, the Hurricane Ida was the biggest nightmare that we all had to go through. And then exactly at that moment in the picture came Sid with Steve Garillo. Steve Garillo has been extremely helpful and very knowledgeable of what he's doing. And the only help that we got was actually only from Sid. The government didn't help us, the landlords didn't help us. It seems like nobody cared about small businesses. So I have to say that thank you so much, Steve Garillo, for doing such a great job. And basically he brought, Sid brought life back to Milburn. I think Milburn was basically dying, and I think we need Sid. Please don't get rid of Sid.
Thank you.
I'd just like to echo Jeff Feld's comments and some of my own prior. There is a difference between the successful marketing efforts of the people involved in the SID, volunteers, paid people, et cetera, and the legal issues that are involved in its establishment and operation. And I would also say that there is absolute legitimacy, sorry, Ben, I totally disagree with you, to having a person who is responsible for approving the actions of this organization and questioning how taxpayer dollars are being spent and asking for accountability for those spending those dollars using township assets and space, as well as admitting that they have multiple clients. There is absolutely no reason why those questions shouldn't be asked and answered. And I would say the same thing about my questions about understanding as a resident and taxpayer how the bottom line of this organization affects the town. I don't think it's a hard thing to answer. I think it should be answered by someone sitting in an executive director position. I'm sorry, I just really feel strongly about that. And I would also have to question some of the comments made by a former mayor who was heavily involved in the founding of the SID and is still actively involved. And under her watch, important things slipped through the cracks, including businesses that did not go through the town's processes to get approval. There was a lawsuit involved, and it cost, that business as well as the town a lot of money because, T's were not crossed and I's were not dotted. And the same thing I think is happening with the SID. Those things have to be done. Legal actions will occur if they're not done. And I think that there is a big difference between that and applauding the efforts that have been really good, have helped the town and have helped the businesses. So let's separate those things and not conflate them because they are really different. Thank you.
I had a speech, but I am not doing it because it's now 10 o'clock. So I wanted to say thank you. Maggie's going, I'm Janine Marr. What?
We've done to 1 in the morning,
No,
but
I have to get home. So I'm not a resident. I'm a business owner, Elements for Style, 358A. I have to thank you guys. I agree, Jackie, Ben coming in. Thank you to Steve and Amanda. They've done so much. So I'm just asking for you guys to consider, push the budget through. I also agree with JJ Abbott, wherever he is now, that for 6 years, the budget has been the same. Now we've included 4 more districts, 5, well, we have, but 5, but we've added 4 districts, right, and we have the same budget, inflation. My costs have gone up. Marketing has gone up. I think his budget needs to go up, and I think he's doing a great job with what he has right now, but really it has to go up in the future. Thank you and have a good
so much. Last one.
Good evening.
Good
Elephant
evening.
in the room here. Unfortunately, I don't have good, bad, or indifferent to say about the executive director or the marketing director. However, I do know the marketing director is lovely because I had the pleasure of serving her several times when she patronized the restaurant early on, obviously way prior to her even knowing what she was getting into, I suppose. I would like to start off before my comment to say that I was disappointed to hear in a prior comment that the SID budget had already been passed. I would ask you all to familiarize yourself with the public. Familiarize yourself with the 33 letters. Where do they come from? Who are the authors? Who do they represent? Property owners, merchants. Are they subjected to the assessment? Or do they have landlords that don't defer the assessment, like myself? I would say that my tenants are not familiar with Mr. Grillo, or I don't even want to say, I'm sure he's a wonderful man, so I can't even say, but not familiar with Explore Millburn. The majority of the people you heard tonight, you heard the word downtown, and that's what I've been saying since August of 2020. So this evening, you will decide to vote in favor or against the SID budget. This evening, since 2020, I've spoken upon deaf ears. As a taxpayer, property owner, merchant, and a resident, I have no voice. I have no vote with your ordinance 2561-20 that I have asked multiple times to rescind. Please realize that this is not a popularity contest, but rather a matter regarding the usage of taxpayers' trust fund monies without a voice. Clearly, 3 minutes is not adequate enough time to make a statement to back them up with all the facts, because I've done a lot of homework and I'm always doing a lot of research. There's been many unanswered questions regarding the SID that go far back as 2020, indemnification, feasibility studies, buy-in, conflict of interest, and taxation without representation. In November, Committeewoman Committeewoman Romano had presented the 33 letters that were solicited, that were said that they were solicited, but were they solicited to all 160 property owners? Were they solicited to all 500 plus merchants, or just a select few? Has anyone received or performed an analysis of those letters? Because I have. And who were the letters submitted from, like I mentioned? Are they members of the advisory board? Are they boards of trustees? And which district do they represent? Have any of the authors have been ever awarded the following: stipends, event stipends, grants, from refresh programs, and IDA relief money? And during IDA and during COVID, we did offer and afford our tenants a rent reduction or abatement. And I did ask about if they were subjected to the assessment. Also, I have to say, we've been here for 30 years. 1994, December of 1994, Saks closed and Saks went to the mall. It was total devastation to Upper Milburn Avenue. We didn't know what happened. The entire town of that portion was very, very slow. I had the opportunity, and I mentioned at the last meeting, that I knew a member of the DMDA. I asked him, what's happening? Why is everything happening downtown? Oh, well, there's this organization. Well, hence here we are in 2020. You pass the ordinance and it's the same old. Facts matter, and you should understand all the facts before you place your votes tonight. Ask yourself, simply, are all the districts being represented by the SID? What is the SID doing for Morris Avenue? Ask yourself. For Kings, what are they doing for Stone Mountain? What are they doing for Garden Homes? What are they doing for Trader Joe's? What are they doing for ShopRite? I mean, this is a expanded SID that you're getting big property owners and big assessments that are primarily, if not
wholeheartedly, 100% supporting downtown, just like the supporters are behind me. I'm happy that they are benefiting from the SID. But I think that in all fairness, this is not, you know, an open end. All the districts should be treated fairly. So if both Committeewoman Romano as the liaison to the SID board, together with Committeeman Cohen, if you honestly base your vote that you can absolutely have read and fully understand the ordinance 2561-20, then you should vote accordingly. Otherwise, understand that this is not an entertainment piggy bank for just a few. Mayor Miggins and Deputy Mayor Vinayak, if you consciously vote against your campaign promise, then I would suggest that you vote accordingly. As you walk off this dais, this will be your legacy. Committeewoman Prupis, it appears that you have seen history repeat itself. Then you also should vote accordingly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Urso.
Have a nice evening.
I will now close the public comment period.
Anybody have any comments?
I have a comment. Does anyone else have a comment? No.
You could start, Ms.
All right.
Purpose. You go ahead.
So you know what? I want to come back. No one else has had to comment?
Mr. Grillo, do you have any comments you want to make, or are you good?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Am
So,
I the only one that's gonna make a comment?
Ms. Deputy Mayor Vinayak, go.
Okay, great, thanks.
How's that?
Give
You
me
need a
time,
minute?
a little
Okay,
more
yeah,
time.
yeah.
There are a lot of pros and cons we have heard. And as I said earlier also, there is no way you can make everyone happy. But I've seen Mr. Guerrero working and Amanda working alongside with him. And I've seen Jackie and Richard both working for the past 3 years. And I'm sure everyone else on the board, on the group, helping support or not helping support, they're all right in their own way, in their own conscious. But I think it's a very difficult job, and thank you to volunteer on the board. Thanks for your time, and thanks for whatever you do to keep things moving forward. You have my support. Thank you.
I'd also like to echo what Deputy Mayor Vinayak said. This is an incredible board. I've loved working with them all year. You do amazing things. Steve and Amanda, 24/7, you're on, chopping wood, lighting fires, you know, and we're very lucky to have this group, so thank you.
Mr. Cohen.
No, I'm not on the board. My interactions with the SID has really primarily been as a resident. I've gone to some of the events, they're wonderful. The SID has also been helpful. I sit on the Arboretum board and we asked for some help with an event that we were planning. And so we're not a downtown merchant, or a merchant of any kind, but they were tremendously helpful in terms of getting the word out for us, which is not easy in this town. And whatever else we've asked for, so they have my support as well.
Okay. Ms. Prupis, ready?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
go
ready.
ahead.
So I'm gonna vote yes tonight, for sure, and there's been a lot of input from the merchants and property owners. And I still think it's really important that the SID board looks at the way that the SID board is composed. And I feel like the people paying the tax should get a vote, and it shouldn't be appointed by the TC members. So you'll do with that whatever you'll do with it. And I'm glad so many people came out to support the board tonight. And yeah, you have my support, so you have my vote. Yeah.
Mr. Martin, do you have anything you need to add?
I do not have anything.
How do you like that? Mr. McDonald?
Since you've afforded me the opportunity.
I have.
All I'll say is, you know, there's a lot that goes on in a municipality in the day to day. Probably a lot more than most do realize.
Sure.
But I think that one of the things that has been immensely helpful to me has been this organization from the standpoint of there's always been a degree of needing to provide attention, you know, and resources and support to the businesses. And I remember very clearly the years that the DMDA didn't exist. And so I just from a standpoint of, you know, what happens in terms of how the organization is structured and things like that, you know, the only thing I would ever say about it is that they provide an immense service, and I can only, and I, you know, I won't speak for any businesses or property owners, but certainly to the township and the offices here, by supporting a perspective for merchants when it comes to traffic, when it comes to ordinance changes and how we can be more friendly to businesses and how the building department is interacting with businesses and all the things that happen from a township perspective that impact the merchants, property owners, and those that sit in a business district. It has been a great resource for myself and for the people that work here. And so I think that, you know, whatever happens with the organization in terms of structurally and things like that, you know, you can always make changes to something, but it is hard to rebuild something. And we've built a great organization here. And some wise person once told me that it's very easy to tear down a barn, but it's very difficult to build one. And so we've built one here. While it might need some changes or additions or whatever it might be, I think it's a great organization, and I've immensely appreciated what it's become.
You know, sitting up here for 3 years, you get to see what people are really passionate about, right? So when somebody doesn't like something, we've gone to meetings, whether it has to do with fair share or fields on a par 3 golf course or something with historic, they show up, our people show up. And I look in this room tonight and everybody's shown up, but they've shown, I mean, heck, Mr. Kirsch, he doesn't own a business in the town. He's just a town tax-paying resident, showed up to support it. And I think it speaks volumes that, you know, a Tuesday night right before Christmas, people are showing up and spending their time to come out and support someone. And there's only 2 people that don't support it. So just from a numbers perspective, 3 people, there's just from a numbers perspective, you have to look at the fact that there are more supporting it than not supporting it. So, yep. Take the vote, please. Wait, I gotta make the motion. All right, here we go. Ready? May I have a motion to approve resolution 23-287, which authorizes adoption of the 2024 Milburn Short Hills Business Organization Budget.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernaya?
Yes.
Mayor Miggins?
Yes.
Thank you.
We are on to ordinance 2655-23. Mr. Cohen, you are scheduled to sponsor.
Sure. I present for consideration an ordinance entitled Ordinance 2655-23, ordinance amending and supplementing the Township of Milburn indemnification ordinance. Tonight is the time set for public hearing and final passage is advertised in accordance with law.
I declare the hearing open.
Try to be brief. This is an amendment of a standard rise indemnification provision that's in most municipalities. First question is, why the sudden need to make these amendments? Have other municipalities adopted these amendments or modifications? Did the JIF insurer approve these changes because it affects them? The effective date, if you adopt this ordinance, when does it become effective? And does it cover actions, these amendments that occur on before the effective date, or is it on the adoption, and what coverage you get? Because I would caution you, because of the little debate we just had, we heard mention of structural changes and structural deficiencies. And does it cover all, will these changes cover all current TC members, or will they be carved out because they voted for these changes? Because I don't know really what this change covers. Because we're talking about if you provide services within and do actions within the purview of your official action, you should be protected, whether it's criminal or whatever it is. When you go outside your purview, such as you do not follow state law, you commit ultra virus acts, does that cover you? And I don't know why we need this new provision all of a sudden being needed if, because we never had it for years.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Okay, I move that this public hearing be closed and that the ordinance be adopted on final reading, and that the township clerk be directed to publish the ordinance by title as passed on final reading in accordance with law.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have any comments, questions,
Oh,
want to
sorry.
answer? Mr. Feld, do we have any answers from Mr. Feld?
No, I think, look, the committee as the policy makers of the township have recognized the need for amendment. I can't speak to whether other municipalities have made similar amendments. You know, and perhaps Mr. Manazzini has some additional insight, but
I can simply say that there are a couple of provisions, a couple of amendments here. One is to change the dates because the time frame to provide notice and responses was too tight. That's one of the answers to the questions as to why. And it expands somewhat the coverage of also actions that are taken in an administrative way that may be fall short of an administrative program that the state or federal or other government has. The ordinance will not cover virus acts. The ordinance will become effective after publication. And I think that those are the questions that I would address.
Well, and we're not exempted from it, just we voted for it.
No. The members of the township committee are not exempted.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Benaya?
Yes.
Mayor Miggins?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2656-23. Ms. Romano, you were scheduled to sponsor this.
I present for consideration an ordinance entitled Ordinance Number 2656-23, Ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic of Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Milburn. The proposed amendment to the Chapter 7 Traffic Code of Milburn's General Ordinances is to make amendments to business permit categories, modify fire lanes, clarify parking allowances in the township's commuter lots, and codify requirements of parking permit applications. Tonight is the time set for public hearing and final passage as advertised in accordance with law.
I declare the hearing open. Ms. Romano, go ahead.
I move that this public hearing be closed and the ordinance be adopted on final reading, and that the township clerk be directed to publish the ordinance by title as passed on final reading in accordance with law.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Prupus?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Benaya?
Yes.
Mayor Miggins?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're into old business now. So for old business, we have an update and discussion about 9 Main Street. So do you want me to read this? I'm going to read something. Yesterday, the Township of Milburn had a case management conference before Judge Santamaro regarding its compliance with the Township Settlement Agreement with Fair Share Housing Center and other interested parties. Of particular interest was the Township's effort to approve a redevelopment agreement with RPM. Fact is, we have a 100+ page development agreement that outlines the Township's obligation to build 100% affordable development with 75 units. Simply put, we are not prepared to vote on the agreement as this community's representatives at this time. At a previous case management conference, residents of Milburn were told that if they did not like the way that they were being represented in the matter of affordable housing, that they should vote accordingly. That's exactly what happened, folks, and we feel it incumbent upon this committee, a lame duck committee, to allow the newly elected officials a voice in these matters. In particular, a matter that will potentially be constructed during their tenure on the Township Committee. The agreement, and I don't need to do that one. We have a hearing before Judge Santamoro scheduled for January 5th, 2024. Stay tuned.
11 a.m.
Stay tuned.
Put that on the website. That's it.
Yes.
We'll put that statement on the website so everybody is aware. All right. We don't have any other old business. By golly, we don't have any new business either. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? May I have a second? Good night, Milburn Short Hills. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. Mr. Felt, look what I have for you.
What?
An extra